Chapter 51:27. When his figure appeared again, Jian Wushuang had already reached the very edge of the battlefield. The few rank 6 Dayan immortals hiding on the edge had no time to react. They were cut off their heads by Jian Wushuang with one sword. The speed was incredible. The reason why it can be effortless is mainly because these rank 6 Dayan immortal level corpse armors have no defense at all. His battle with Xiang Bingyun caused these conscious Dayan immortals to relax their vigilance, thinking that even if Xiang Bingyun was there, even if he was suppressed by a thought universe, it would not affect them too much. Moreover, these rank 6 Dayan immortal level corpse battle armors are all at the very edge and can leave the scope of the universe for 1 year at any time. Jian Wushuang slowly put down the little novice monk in his hand, staring at Xiang Bingyun, who was furious in the distance, and said lightly, "I don't know why you will recover, and I don't know your purpose, but since you have to die, then don't be my kind. Killing so many of my men in a wave of hands. You are really kind." Although the army of corpses is almost endless, the gray-white ancient land has been hollowed out more than half, and the rest is estimated to be as much as 1/3. Most of them are battle armors comparable to Dayan immortals, and only a few have consciousness. The strength can reach the 3rd rank. The corpse armor of rank 6 Dayan immortal level is so rare that Jian Wushuang killed a few people casually. Even Xiang Bingyun felt a little distressed. He didn't participate much in the big plans of the year, and the core was controlled by those emperors. But since the corpse army was revived, these people must still be useful. The loss was too much, and it was not easy to explain to the Lord. They shouldn't have existed. I am not a slaughter. On the contrary, he has to thank me. Jian Wushuang's mouth leaked a sneer, and then he said, "Your strength is at least the Nineth rank perfect Dayan immortal. I really don't know why these people died. I don't really think that Zhen Wuyang was ruthless and deliberately killed. He wasn't hiding and choking anymore, and he asked loudly. There were so many Dayan immortals in the ancient times, and half of them belonged to the 5 emperors. These Dayan immortals are also far and near. If it were 3 or even 4 generations of disciples, would they really fight against Zhen Wuyang for those emperors? Even this half of Dayan immortal swears allegiance to death and fears death. But now the Dayan immortal, who turned into a corpse in the great wilderness, is not only half of the Wangu era. According to his speculation, if these corpses were all Dayan immortal before their fall, then the Dayan immortal in the Wangu era was almost all killed by Zhen Wuyang. Obviously, he has taken control of the Desai domain, and what Zhen Wuyang wants to get rid of are those emperors. As for Dayan immortals, those who resist will also be killed easily, but there is no need to kill 90% of the Dayan immortals in Desai domain. There must be something strange in this. Those powers can explain the problem. The corpse recovers and powers erupt. These Dayan immortals were probably forced to die back then, and the person who planned behind the scenes was probably just for the growth of their bodies. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. He couldn't imagine. The death of countless Dayan immortals revived the great wilderness, creating a path of heaven comparable to the middle world. The heavenly Tao at this time is extremely weak. As long as there is the strength of the emperor, it can be completely controlled, and then directly take that step and become the master of this great wilderness. These corpses of the Dayan immortal were chess pieces, and even those emperors regarded themselves as chess pieces. Once there was any mistake in the middle, they would really fall. When Da Huang regained its recovery, the emperors of Zhenliang and Tongtian Buddhism would be cheaper. Now that the horrible existence is resurrected, the big plan has been completed, and he will not let him go. Jian Wushuang, who inferred all this, had gleaming eyes. If he wanted to escape from here, he had to take a gamble. Since the corpse has recovered, it has his value. If he can kill these corpses on a large scale, the existence will definitely be mad. Hui Qing, the purpose of your coming to see you is to save the immortal, right? The sudden question made the little novice monk stunned for a moment, and then nodded heavily. My master and I are under the master of immeasurable Buddha, and the master teaches us to preach in Desiyu. The little novice monk, without any scheming, has nothing to say after the masters have fallen. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly and touched the head of the little novice monk. Then you are busy today. Busy? Can a good man give pointers? The little novice monk didn't understand for a while. Although they are now on the edge of the corpse army, the blue armor overhaul didn't let them off at all. I will send these corpses to the Lord Buddha later, so please help them out first. Jian Wushuang's voice was loud, and Xiang Bingyun, who was standing in the distance, also heard it. If someone else said this, he would definitely sneer, but the strange power displayed by Jian Wushuang made him extremely vigilant, especially at Yin Universe. He didn't understand the flaw of this trick. Although the effect was the same as the domain, the energy running inside was extremely terrifying. A diameter of just 1 million miles can be comparable to that of the 9-turn consummation die in Immortal, and that power of thought has always made him restless, and even made him retreat. You wait for the order. All withdraw from this area. Xiang Bingyun raised the bronze token in his hand. His voice was like Hongzhong. Millions of corpses within 1 million miles raised their heads to look at Xiang Bingyun, only started to evacuate in an orderly manner, rushing towards the outside world. With a thought of the universe, Jian Wushuang can at most control the most central origin and can only display the semi-finished products now. Today, this small universe cannot be regarded as a universe. At best, it can be regarded as a prototype. The real one-mind universe, according to Jian Wushuang's calculations, requires mental and thought power to reach an unbelievable level. Once the universe is formed, it can even be preserved forever. Even if the caster falls, it can exist forever. When he was in the starry sky, he thought about whether those universes were created by some powerful person. Now that he thought about the universe, he understood that if he wanted to truly create the universe, the difficulty was billions of times more difficult than controlling a universe. Even if the small universe he is using now seems to be like his own domain, it is really difficult for ordinary monks to use it just thinking and mind. It's okay to say that mental strength is that the world of Tongtian Buddha can barely find a few strong people in this area, but thought strength is something vague, although everyone has it, but the strength of mind strength is different. Some people's mind power can take things out of space. For example, it is so powerful that it can make a big mountain collapse. But this kind of mind power is too far apart to create the universe or to condense a world through the mind power. However, Jian Wushuang is now able to deploy a 1 million-mile-sized microcosm, and there is a 1 million-mile blessing within the universe. At this point, the power of mind is far beyond ordinary emperors. Chapter 51:28. Extreme. It is the limit that this starry sky can bear, and the limit that the starry sky can expand. Having mastered the complete limit, he has already embarked on the road to control the starry sky. One thought of the universe is just a microcosm of the starry sky. If the strength is strong enough, the starry sky will fall within a single thought, and then Jian Wushuang will be truly invincible. But now, with the microcosm of Yin Universe, it can be compared to the 9th rank die in Immortal, and he can barely survive under the 9th rank consummation die in Immortal. This is the power of Jidao. Jian Wushuang could make this miniature universe shake the great desolate way, and almost all the corpses in the miniature universe were suppressed. Millions of corpses wanted to be like puppets, unable to go out at all. Only a few corpses with the power of rank 6 Dayan could barely drag their bodies out of the scope of the microcosm. What are you going to do? Xiang Bingyun didn't understand. why he had to use most of his strength to suppress these ordinary corpses. Wouldn't these corpses leave him more relieved of his burden? Indeed, if there is only Xiang Bingyun in the microcosm, his burden will be reduced a lot. But Xiang Bingyun has been pestering him. Even if there is no corpse, he cannot escape. Since there is no way to escape, give the other party a draw. I said, I won't be as polite as I was just now. As soon as his voice fell, he manipulated the entire microcosm to swallow the endless power in the void, forming billions of powerful sword auras. When he raised his hand and fell, countless sword auras ran across the void, and each of them had his ordinary sword. Power, billions of times, slashed to the corpses in the microcosm. Stop it to me. Xiang Binjian's body was completely transformed into a wild ancient behemoth, and tens of thousands of sword auras were scattered with one claw, but this sword aura was almost useless for hundreds of millions of sword auras. He could only watch the millions of corpses turned into powder and killed millions of Dynamortals with a thought. The scenes of this scene reminded him of Zhen Wuyang in the ancient times. Thinking back to the shame back then, Xiang Bingyun was extremely angry at this moment. Today, I want you to die. Boom. Countless corpse powder scattered from the void was like heavy snow, and Xiang Bingyun turned into a barren ancient behemoth. Jian Wushuang quickly grabbed the little novice monk and moved the void. Are you going crazy? It seems that you still haven't killed enough. The little novice monk lowered his head and rubbed the beads in his hands. Good fellow, I have saved these Dynamortals. You can rest assured to kill. Xiang Bingyun almost vomited blood when he heard the words of the two of them. If it weren't for the master's big plan, he would have been besieging Jian Wushuang with a number of rank 9 Dynamortals. Outside the ancient bronze temple, 2 men in black robes sat cross-legged in front of the door of the ancient temple. Who is this person? Such strength is in the age of ancient times. There should be some names. Could it be that it has only risen in recent years? Jian Wushuang had the strength of rank 9, and he could still compete with Xiang Bingyun, who was perfect in rank 9. In their opinion, he was definitely not an unknown person. It is very likely that they are the superpowers who have become famous since the ancient times. Otherwise, they would not come to Dahuang to spy on their big plans at this time. Thanks, but he can't see his identity from the outside. But I can feel the breath of real Wuyang in him. And I will keep this person no matter what. Yu Du sat cross-legged in a high position. He was one of the Lord's left and right guardians, and the Lord's closest confidant. It's not that simple to keep him. You and I must protect the Temple of Qishan and not leave anymore. I'm afraid Zhen Wuyang in the Desai domain has already discovered us, so you can't be careless. Back then, the two of them entered the Temple of Qishan and fell asleep together with the Lord. The Lord once instructed them to lead the corpse to protect the temple of the gods when they wake up again, and no one should be allowed to approach them. At this time, the critical moment of the Lord's recovery has come, and if there is a difference, the two can't afford it. Since the siege can't be achieved, let this person be led to another place. There should be no more big movements here. It is good. In the miniature universe, after destroying 1 million corpses, Yin universe has weakened a lot again, but without the burden of the other corpses before, its strength blessing has not dropped much. But even so, Jian Wushuang was still unable to face Xiang Bingyun head-on in strength, and could only dodge around. I can't use it any longer. My thought power has reached its limit, and I must throw him away. Jian Wushuang frowned, and his body shape changed again. The old guy from the ancient times is really difficult. Xiang Binjian's shot fell through the sky. His blood-colored eyes turned, and he adjusted his figure in an instant. When Jian Wushuang had just torn the void and appeared, he predicted his position in advance, and a sharp claw suddenly pierced Jian Wushuang's body. Golden blood spilled into the void on the spot, but time and space changed again, and Xiang Bingyun hurriedly flashed away. After stabilizing his figure, he realized that everything was an illusion just now, but Jian Wushuang took the opportunity to cut a hideous wound on his back with a sword. Rebel! Huh, you have a thick skin. The fight between the two makes the entire microcosm tremble, and the heavens are screaming. When the aura deposited in the Wangu arrow erupted, and a gust of enthusiasm spread from the temple of Qishan, so that the two players who fought against each other had a meal. Ha! My lord has completely recovered. The rebels will die. That breath rose to the sky, and it was from the temple of forbidding God. Jian Wushuang saw this burst of heart, and his heart throbbed. The waste that was killed by Zhenliang town, what can it do if it recovers? None of you can stop me today. Jian Wustivine's sword slanted slightly in his hands, and his eyes showed determination. Over the years, how many times he fought, and that time was not to get out of adversity, but he never gave up a chance to get to this day. Dare to insult the Lord. Even if Shen Wuyang comes today, I want you to die. The glory of the Wangu era is the emperor. They and these Dayan immortals are all shining, and insulting the Lord is the same as insulting them and insulting the glory of the Wangu era. Just as the two of them were fighting, a luxurious middle-aged man on the edge of the great wilderness was constantly shining, and every time he moved his figure, he traversed the endless void. If it was Dayan immortal, it would take 100 years to pass. But the middle-aged man walked directly across the board. When encountering some powerful ancient relics, they also directly rushed into it. The formations, spirits, and guardians were all annihilated in an instant. The strength of the incoming people exceeded the rules of this world. Wearing a high crown of white jade, a golden robe, and a noble face, this person is Zhen Wuyang. He had already noticed the abnormal movement of the great wilderness. He originally thought it was because his hometown in the ancient times was unwilling and wanted to make a comeback. But what he didn't expect was that those old guys actually controlled the legendary temple of the gods. No wonder that 5 emperors were born in ancient times and so many Dayan immortals appeared. Chapter 51:29. In the temple of Qishan, the huge blue ancient temple reveals mystery and exudes an ancient atmosphere. Empty, chaotic, and quiet, a golden skeleton sits above the ancient throne, and there are also dozens of ancient thrones beside it. And behind the throne is a huge, mysterious statue, Jia Jia. After a strange noise, a ray of light ignited in the eyes of the golden skeleton. True Wuyang. Well, is this him really? Unexpectedly, his dog's nose is so sharp, he discovered the temple of Qishan so soon. Ah, kill him, kill him. Rebel, I want him to die. At the same time, the bones on dozens of ancient thrones were all awake, and their eyes were full of anger. They roared at Jin Wuyang's name. One can imagine how much they hate Jin Wuyang in their hearts. Broken my road to the top of the universe. If you don't kill him, it will be difficult to vent the hatred in my heart. The Tao of Heaven has already emerged in the great wilderness. Although it is still very weak, it is comparable to the middle world, and the great wilderness has no traces. I have comprehended the endless years of the statue of the gods. To improve it, the Lord of the universe is too far away, and I am satisfied to be able to cross the second step. The golden bones on the other thrones changed color one after another, unwilling to say, 6 crows, what do you want to do? If you control this way now, you know that it is difficult for you to go further in your life. Yang Jun, you really think it's so easy to control the universe? As far as I know, we are in the original universe, and the surrounding universes have not had the Lord of the universe. Apart from the record of the Lord of the universe in the temple of Qishan, who else can you say? Ever? The others also thought to themselves, but they were still not reconciled. They became emperors in the Wangu era, all relying on the existence of the Temple of Chishan. Looking forward to the birth of Dasiyu, everyone looked forward to their faces. The Temple of Chishan did not belong to the Desai domain. In ancient times, the Temple of the Chishan came from the void and descended on the Desai domain. At that time, the human monks were still very rare, and most of them were wild ancient beasts or unique special beings. They discovered the speciality of the Chishan temple early, and thus became a dazzling existence, smooth sailing to achieve the position of emperor. 18 gods and generals were established in the Chishan temple, and all the 18 emperors in the ancient times became the 18 gods and generals of the Chishan temple. 18 emperors master the devouring Tao of the god of discord. As long as they cultivate to the peak, they can swallow the universe and become the master of the universe recorded in the temple of god of discord. This is also the reason why they do not control the Dasi domain, nor leave the Dasi domain. Their 18 emperors were all dreaming of reaching the sky in one step and becoming the master of the universe, but they didn't expect to have a true Wuyang halfway through. A reserve who inherited Jinwu Dao, all the way to the top, crushed their Dao with his own hands and suppressed them in this great wilderness. They probably knew how powerful Zhen Wuyang was in the Wangu era. Since Dasiyu was under the control of Zhen Wuyang, he has never tried his best. No one knows how strong he is now. Lu Crow, you really think it over. What you gave up is the way of the gods. An emperor with a light on his eyebrows roared. He entered the temple of Chishan since he was weak and has always believed in the gods. At this time, traitors appeared among them, which made some emperors unacceptable. Lu Crow snorted coldly, turned his head to look at the angry emperor, and said coldly, "Idiot, you have copied the statue of God for so many years. I haven't seen you become the Lord of the universe. If you really become the Lord of the universe, Lord, I have inherited the position of the 3 great gods. Why should I give up the road of the gods and go to the way of the gods of the wild?" The Temple of Chishan not only established 18 gods, but also established 3 big gods, 108 messengers. The requirements for becoming a messenger are the lowest, as long as the Nineth rank Dayan Immortal can become a candidate messenger, and when he reaches the 9th rank consummation, he can become a distracted messenger, inheriting an emperor's way, and as long as he follows the Great Road, he will definitely become an emperor. The requirements of the gods are higher, and they must be emperors to inherit. Once they inherit, they will be taught to swallow the avenue, which is an avenue to become the master of the universe. The Lord of the universe is a legendary character in the long river of time and space. If countless universes know that there is an avenue that allows the monks to go to the Lord of the universe, it will probably shake the entire starry sky and cause endless wars. Moreover, the Temple of Chishan has also established a supreme rule. The heirs of the 3 major gods can explore the starry sky, and where there are the secrets of the supreme rules. If anyone can comprehend the supreme rules, he can inherit the temple of the gods and become the supreme owner. These secrets are only known to them. Gods and generals, that is, knowing the benefits, they refuse to inherit a small domain and climb step by step, not to mention inheriting the Temple of Fortune. Even if you just master the complete devouring avenue and become the master of the universe, it has already made countless emperors crazy. There was a moment of silence in the hall. Well, since Lu Crow has chosen the road of the desolate God Lord, let him go. Yang Jun turned his head and glanced at the others, and then said, "Don't forget, Zhen Wuyang has already discovered the Temple of Chishan. The powerhouses in other realms will soon find out. If there is no one if you give up the devouring avenue, who will control the great wilderness? No one controls the great wilderness. How do we deal with those emperors who have taken the first step? Although they walked on the great avenue of devouring, They were much stronger than ordinary emperors, but if they faced those emperors who took the first step, they would have no power to fight back. Even if they are not in the world controlled by the opponent, they are far from opponents. At this time, Lu Kro came forward to control the great wilderness, mastering the great avenue of the god Lord Wild Wilderness, and could use the Qixin Temple to quickly upgrade the great wilderness to the higher world. When they become the top emperor, they can also protect the Temple of Qixin. As long as the Lord of the Universe does not come out, they are absolutely safe in the great wilderness. In that case, Lu Kro will ask you in the future, otherwise I will have to take the Temple of Qixin to escape for a long time. The expressions of the other emperors also changed extremely quickly, although they believed in the gods and highly respected the gods. In this situation, it is still important to keep the Temple of the Gods first. Several emperors quickly discussed a result, and Luya took the initiative to control the Temple of Qi. And Zhen Wuyang has reached the depths of the great wilderness at a very fast speed. "Do not!" Zhen Wuyang roared, and he could feel that a heavenly path had appeared in the great wilderness, and it had been controlled by others. "Damn old guy, I can't get the Temple of Forbidden God, and you don't want to occupy it." An extra primitive token appeared in his hand, and then he urged his might to spread a message throughout the universe. Chapter 5130. Once the news of the Temple of Qixin spread, the entire universe was shaken. The Temple of Qixin, which had been rumored in the ancient times, once again descended on the Desai domain, instantly causing countless emperors to go crazy. In the ancient times, the Great Division territory stunned countless surrounding territories. Although the Great Division region did not have a control, no emperor dared to invade at will. In that era, there was a rumor that Desiyu had a temple that drifted from the long river of time and space. That temple created the glory of Desiyu. There were many people who believed in this information back then, but since there were more than a dozen emperors in Desiyu, no one dared to explore it. Until Zhen Wuyang was born and suppressed dozens of emperors and took control of the entire Desai domain, no one would believe in the existence of Qixin Temple. At this time, the great wilderness changed. Zhen Wuyang personally reported that the Temple of Qixin really existed in the Desai domain, causing countless greed. After all, a super treasure that can give birth to dozens of emperors in a middle-level realm is enough to make the 9-turn consummation Dayan immortal go crazy and obsess those emperors who have not taken the first step. Even those Tao ancestors who took the first step in the dojo are facing it seriously. In the universe, there is endless territory. The ancient gods of the higher world, on the ancestor Demon Mountain, in the glorious ancient temples surrounding the entire Demon Mountain, several emperors have gathered. An ancient with a brow surrounded by 7 stars said respectfully, "Master, there is news from Zhen Wuyang of Desiyu that the Temple of Qixin is once again present." Above the hall stood an 8-star ancient god, who was the master of the ancient gods. His own path perfectly blended with the ancient gods, and he was the master of the higher world. The 8 stars at the center of his eyebrows represented the dignity of his blood. In the ancient god realm, except for the first 9-star ancient god, his bloodline is the highest. Temple of Qixin. The 8-star main swayed his tail, pondered for a while, and said, "Immediately summon all the emperors of the ancient gods, and the 9-turned consummation Dayan immortal. I will go and notify the ancestor." Although he is the ruler of the ancient gods, such major events still need the ancestor's decision. Because the ancestor of the ancient gods was the only ultimate emperor in the entire universe. Moreover, he is the ultimate emperor who masters the path of destruction, and the first ancient of the ancient gods, possessing the perfect bloodline of 9 stars. If the ultimate way is not too strong, the ancient gods cannot bear the pressure of the ultimate way, nor will let a post-sorrow control the ancient realm. The top of the magic mountain, outside an ancient cave. "Master Beishan, why are you here?" Seeing the lord of Beishan hurriedly rushing, the emperor guarding the cave gate was a little surprised. "The psychic emperor, please inform the ancestor of the great Siyu that something has happened and that a treasure was born." The psychic emperor is also an 8-star ancient god. He has a clone who follows the ancestor all the year round. The main body controls a medium-sized world and follows the ancestor for many years. His status is extremely high, even if he is the master of the ancient gods. Even if he is the master of the ancient gods, was also very polite when he treated this emperor of the same clan. Hearing that the strange treasure was born, the psychic brows moved slightly, and my heart was a little puzzled. But no matter that Beishan was the master of the ancient gods, it was not easy to say anything, so I asked him to wait for a while, and he himself entered the ancestor. Inside the cave, what kind of exotic treasure has attracted so much attention from Beishan and was born in Desiyu, Big Division Domain? Isn't that the dojo of Zhen Wuyang? Could it be? The pace of the psychic can't help speeding up a bit. If the temple was born, the ancestor should be notified immediately. Ancestor! The psychic came to a quiet room with red light. Quiet room. The ancestor of the ancient gods was sitting cross-legged on the edge of a tan. Look from the front. He, wearing a set of test armor, very ordinary. But when you look carefully, you will feel that the armor is like inlaid on his body, changing colors from time to time. And at the center of his eyebrows, it symbolizes the blood of the peak ancient god, surrounded by stars. The breath radiating from him is different from any strong man, even the ruler of the North Mountain, who is enough to rank in the top 100 in this universe, cannot match. If Jian Wushuang was seeing it at this time, he might be familiar with this kind of breath, because he, like this ancient god, holds the ultimate way. The difference is that the ancestor of the ancient is the ultimate emperor, and Jian Wushuang now is only the 3-turn great Yanxian. Even if he masters the extreme way, he is like an ant in front of the ultimate emperor. What disturbs me? The ancient ancestor still closed his eyes tightly and slowly said, "Tell the ancestor, it is the news from Beishan that there is a strange treasure in the Big Division area, and the ancestor must come forward and determine." The psychic outside the door respectfully said. The ancestor of the ancient suddenly opened his eyes, and his expression was overjoyed. "To see you." Fortunately, I did not leave the original universe. Ha! Those old guys left the original universe, looking for the way to become the master of the universe. It is ridiculous. Go ahead, and all the emperors in Yuzuxiang will gather in the ancient temple. In just half a day, there are hundreds of higher worlds and tens of thousands of middle world capitals in the primitive universe of with the powerful under their commanders to the Big Division Domain. Tao Ancestor. All the 9th-ranked consummated Dayan immortals in our great dream realm are dispatched together. Is this necessary? Yeah, Tao Ancestor's strength is overwhelming, and it has been crushed for an era, and the forces in the border area will not give us a big dream. A flat boat shuttles continuously in the void, with speed and fastness, crossing a boundary every time it crosses. This flat boat is the eternal treasure. Even among the emperors and ancestors, few have such treasures. Above the Bianzhou, the Taoist ancestor of the great dream realm listened to the disciples and snorted. You underestimated the attraction of Qixin Temple, and you underestimated Emperor Tao. A sword fairy in a Qingyi lotus dress was a little puzzled, and asked, "Master, is there such a miraculous thing in the Temple of Qixin that it can help immortal Dayan become an emperor?" The other disciples also looked at the Tao ancestor of the great dream realm, looking forward to answering. I don't know much about the mystery of the Qixin Temple, but one thing is true. There were dozens of emperors born in the Desai domain, but none of them controlled the Desai domain and did not leave the Desai domain. but has been hiding in the Big Division area for many years to practice in retreat, and the strength is surprisingly strong. Tao Ancestor said here, unavoidably recalling the person he met back then, who obviously did not control the realm, but had the strength comparable to him. The Great Avenue was strong. Incredible. Is an emperor who doesn't even have a dojo really that strong? Don't worry too much. Everyone, with the Tao Ancestor, they can't get over any storm. Dameng Deus's face changed slightly, looking at the dozens of disciples on the Bianzhou, a little disappointed, but also helpless. https:// Please remember the domain name of this book's first publication. Apex Novel Mobile Version Reading URL. Chapter 5131. He has made great achievements. Although he is only the master of the middle world, his strength is no weaker than those of the masters. Therefore, their great dream realm is also somewhat famous in the inner of the primitive universe. Because of his indisputable character, he has high prestige in the surrounding area. The powerhouse of the great dream realm went to other realms to roam, relying on his reputation to rise up, but he also lost his fear. The awe of the emperor, the awe of the universe. But in the end, those disciples can't be blamed. The great dream world has seen him as an emperor for countless years, and he has risen smoothly. He was born in a famous family and grew up from Tianjiao to the emperor. In the end, he became the emperor in one fell swoop, and the emperor who has mastered the extremely powerful way. In his heart, the sect has always been the big one, following the master's will and guarding the big dream world. But now it seems that his way of guarding is too doting, which has caused the young generation of Tianjiao to be proud. Little guys, do you know that the emperor is also divided into strong and weak? Everyone nodded. Of course you know. Well, now that I know, how about my strength in the emperor? Everyone nodded faster this time. Taozu, you are the top emperor. You can also say that our Tao Ancestor is the emperor in countless realms with Megatron. Many people took the opportunity to flatter, and many really admired him too much, thinking that Daozu was the strongest emperor in their hearts. Demeng Daozu held back his smile, raised his hand, and signaled, "Well, I will explain to you how the strength of the emperor is divided while on the way." Looking at these 3 or even 4 generations of disciples, Demeng Daozu began to talk about the various forces in this visit to the Temple of Qishan. The lowest threshold for the contenders of this Temple of the Gods is the perfect Dayan Immortal of rank 9. Ordinary monarchs, and even the emperors who have taken the first step, cannot make any waves. The superpowers who really know the secrets of the Temple of the Gods are the masters. They, the emperor's combat power, also has an extremely harsh division. The whole can be transformed into a 6th order. The most ordinary emperor has just mastered the emperor's avenue, and the avenue is very ordinary. And the emperor who can only control some lower realms is the 1st order emperor. The 2nd-tier combat power is those emperors who have mastered the lower world. Although they have also taken a step, their strength has not changed much. The emperor who has mastered the medium avenue and did not control the medium world to establish his own dojo is also considered a 2nd-order combat power. The normal master of the middle world has established his own dojo and mastered the middle world, which is considered a Tier 3 combat power. Even if the immeasurable Buddha in the world of Tongtian Buddhism is an emperor at this level, this is also the top level of most emperors. Most emperors mastered a small path, and it was extremely difficult even to become a Taoist ancestor in the lower world. It was their lifelong dream to become a 3rd order. The 18 gods in the Temple of Qishan are also considered 3rd order combat power. Their swallowing avenue is the ultimate way, and it is the ultimate way of the master of the universe. Although they have not been fully grasped, the ultimate of the universe Tao is so powerful As long as you can comprehend the third level, you can have the third-order combat power. Once you master it, you will be the master of the universe, and even half of the comprehension can conquer the entire primitive universe. As for Tier 4 combat power, the avenue of the higher world is needed. The ruler of Beishan of the ancient gods and the rulers of other higher worlds are at this level. They dominate a higher world, omnipotent, and can deal with ordinary emperors. Suppress. Monarchs with this level of strength can run wild in a universe, and no one can threaten them. They are all overlords of one party dominating the world. If Tier 3 is the strong among emperors, then Tier 4 is the strong in the universe. In addition to those who control the higher world, there are also some emperors who can reach this level. The real Wuyang of Desiyu, the Buddha of the Buddha realm. Although these two people only mastered the middle world, their Tao was extremely powerful. If it weren't for the higher worlds in the primitive universe, they would be able to control the higher worlds. Their Tao is also a top-level Tao that can rival the ultimate Tao. If they take one step further, they can fully elevate their dojo to the higher world. At that time, they can take one step further, and Beishan dominates the masters of those higher worlds, and many of them just master the upper avenues, and they will be trapped for a lifetime. Shen Wuyang is different. He owns Shimu Avenue, which is a complete top-level avenue. As long as the realm is raised, he can open up a higher world by himself. The realm's strength skyrocketed, and he is expected to hit the 5th level. But the difficulty is also very terrifying. In the primitive universe, there are only a few that can be done. These 5-tier powerhouses have also traveled to other universes long ago, because at their level, it is too difficult to go further. Only enter the long river of time and space for rafting, looking for some ancient relics, or the secret realm of the universe to explore the universe. The 5th-order combat power can be regarded as the ceiling of the original universe. Now, in the original universe, only the ancestors of the ancient gods are still there, and the other 5th-order powerhouses have left the original universe. If you know that there is an avenue leading to the Lord of the Universe in the Qixin Temple, I am afraid that the intestines of these 5th-tier top powerhouses will be regretted. However, if their strength is not in some dangerous secret realms, it is still very simple to return, but they will lose the priority of the first wave. Dameng Daozu explained the division of the emperor's strength so that these disciples who had just entered the universe knew that there was a sky outside the sky. Daozu, you are on that floor. The 3rd floor. The disciples were silent. The Taoist ancestors who have always admired are only the strength of the 3rd-order emperor, and many of the emperors who went to the Qixin this time are the 4th-order dominators, and even the 5th-order top powers came from other universes. These 9th-turn complete Dayan immortals are nothing more than cannon fodder. Originally, they wanted to rely on Tao Ancestor to fish in troubled waters. Even if they were dangerous, Tao Ancestor could solve them. But now it seems that even Tao Ancestors are at risk of falling, let alone them. Many of them did not have a manager to take the risk of life and death. And at this time, some people retreated. But it's too difficult to get the way to become emperors. Although they are a new generation of 9th-ranked perfect Dayan immortals, they are also trapped in several chaos epics. The shrine's path to God is also dependent on qualifications. These emperors of this generation are at least much stronger than those old guys before. Dameng Daozu also saw the thoughts of these disciples and was not going to hit them. But when he turned his head, a smile leaked from the corner of his mouth. No one knows his true strength, and even the other emperor in the clan does not know his true strength. Chapter 51:32. The birth of the Temple of Qixin has attracted the attention of all parties. Countless powerhouses came one after another, and even powerhouses from different universes began to set off for the Great Division Domain in the primitive universe. In fact, to be precise, the place where Chishan Temple appeared this time was between Desiyu and Tongtian Buddha realm. The boundless wilderness, silence, and desolation. The towering Buddha stepped into the lotus, calmly stepping into the wilderness. He is the supreme being in the world of Tongtian Buddhism, Tongtian Buddha. Its strength is the top of Tier 4, stronger than ordinary masters. The world of Tongtian Buddhism under his control is a special big world. It was once the place where a higher world originated. Later, the higher world was broken and turned into 3,000 masters. World, but the place of origin of the higher world, the power contained in it is comparable to the real higher world, and the avenue of the Tongtian Buddha is a very special top avenue among the emperors. Compared to Zhenwu Avenue in Zhenliang, it is not weak at all, but it can stabilize Zhenliang. However, he has been low-key hidden in the world of Tongtian for many years, and he has not cared about the various things in the primitive universe. He just seeks to go further and deduces the emperor's Tao to perfection, thereby promoting the universe Tao. Beside the Tongtian Buddha, a young man with a high crown appeared. His face was jade, and he was wearing a black robe. Dongyan, you are here too. Tongtian Buddha smiled slightly. Emperor Dong Yen looked solemn and snorted, "It's about the Great Road. How can I not come? Besides, since you are here, I can't come?" The Temple of Chishan is bestowed by God, and everyone can contend for it. Tongtian Buddha said lightly, but didn't say anything. Hundreds of people followed behind them, many of whom were powerful emperors. Although the Tongtian realm is the head of the 3,000 great worlds, and the Tongtian Buddha is extremely prestigious, it is divided into two factions inside. Emperor Dong Yen rose with him in the ancient times. He controlled the heavens and became the Fourth Order Emperor, while Dong Yen controlled the relatively weak realm. And his strength was only about the Third Order Emperor. The two have been fighting from the ancient times to the present. If it weren't for the birth of the Temple of Chishan, the two would be unlikely to unite. Boom, boom, boom. In the depths of the great wilderness, two Dayan immortals are staged a battle of chasing and killing one after another. They don't know that there are countless powerful men in the outside world who are coming towards the mysterious hall in the great wilderness. Rebel, you can't escape. The phantom of the dazzling behemoth obscures the void. Extremely fast, the two chasing and fleeing were Jian Wushuang and Xiang Bingyun. Using the microcosmic sword, Wushuang can also fight Xiang Bingyun, but the power of the microcosm is consumed very quickly, and the power of the millions of miles is instantly exhausted and can only last for a cup of tea. Fortunately, he arranges ahead of time, using thought power to condense a clone around Xiang Bingyun, while the deity escaped from the miniature universe at the fastest speed. Good person, run in this direction. I can feel the vitality in this direction. The little novice holding Jian Wushuang's arm pointed to the empty void, and his eyes revealed Zen. Puff! A scarlet claw swept across Jian Wushuang's chest. Fortunately, he was fully paying attention to Xiang Bingyun's every move to avoid this claw instantly, but the explosive power brought by the blood claw itself still shook his body on the verge of when he collapsed. Blood flowed down the corners of his mouth. After avoiding the blood claws, regardless of the injuries on his body, he broke out again with all his strength and quickly fled in another direction. This chase lasted until Jian Wushuang realized that he had underestimated Dayan Immortal, who was perfect in rank 9. The clone in the miniature universe took Xiang Bingyun several breaths. When he was discovered, he had escaped hundreds of millions of miles, but Xiang Bingyun's behemoth phantom exploded at an unprecedented speed and passed several times. Shichen's chase is about to catch up with him. Jian Wushuang might not have any confidence if he hadn't mastered the complete Ji Dao, but since he mastered the Ji Dao, any Dao in his body had reached its limit. Speed is the epitome of Thunder Avenue. Even if his Thunder Avenue broke through to the realm of Dayan Immortal, it was only on the 4th floor. If it is an ordinary Dayan Immortal, use Thunder Avenue as a supplement, and at most practice to the 2nd level during the 3rd round of Dayan Immortal. After all, it is not Dayan Immortal who majored in Thunder Dao. If it is Dayan Immortal who majored in Thunder, you can repair to the 4th floor at the 3rd turn. This is the current level of Jian Wushuang, but ordinary Thunder Dao practitioners can master 60% of the strength of Thunder Dao at most. Practitioners who major in Thunder Dao can perform 80%, and those who master the ultimate Thunder can play Thunder Dao. 10%, the existence of Ji Dao can exert 12% of the strength. Although Jian Wushuang is only on the 4th layer of Thunder Road, his Thunder Band can surpass the existence of the 5th layer, and he is also a practitioner who majors in Thunder Band. As for Xiang Bingyun, although he is not majoring in Thunder, his speed is comparable to the 6th layer of Thunder Road. Obviously, this is the 2nd major road besides his major in Destruction Road. The speed is comparable to a practitioner who majors in Thunder Road. Jian Wushuang couldn't get rid of it at all. He could only grit his teeth and insist. Senior man, this is the direction. I feel it. We can discover the source in just a stick of incense. The little novice monk was a little excited. He followed Jian Wushuang out of the army of corpses, then entered a strange field, and finally escaped from the void, being chased and killed by the phantom behemoth. He was worried along the way, and now, according to the direction he felt, the closer he was, the more he felt the strong vitality. A stick of incense. Jian Wushuang's body was very exhausted, his whole body was trembling, and he could not breathe under the pressure of Xiang Bingyun behind him. However, he was able to hold on to the incense stick, but he was afraid that the little novice would make a mistake, and then he would have to flee aimlessly. I can only hope to drill in some dangerous relics, or go to the territories of some powerful creatures to get a trace of life. This kind of vitality is extremely dangerous, but now he has no choice but to hope that the little novice monk's induction will not go wrong. Xiang Bingyun is the 9th-ranked consummation Dayan Immortal, and there are too few things that threaten the 9th-ranked consummation Dayan. Some of the powerful ancient relics are mostly left by the 9 Renaissance Immortals. Some of the more powerful restrictions can also restrain them. It is not always certain who breaks the restrictions first. Maybe they will trap themselves, waiting to die in place. In the void far away from Jian Wushuang, Tongtian Buddha, and Emperor Dongyan and his party were moving at an extremely fast speed, and their direction was exactly where Jian Wushuang was. If the life of the young novice monk refers to the pedestrian of the Tongtian Buddha, then it will take Jian Wushuang 1,000 years to meet the Tongtian Buddha. Chapter 5133. The Tongtian Buddha was also moving in the direction of Jian Wushuang at an extremely fast speed. Every time they changed their body shapes, they crossed the diameter of an ordinary territory. At their speed, they can meet Jian Wushuang in less than a stick of incense, and even a stick of incense can reach outside the temple of Qishan. The Lord Tongtian smiled on his face, turning his head and looking behind him. Infinite, there is someone in front of you who has great cause and effect. The immeasurable Buddha Lord is also an existence of the Emperor level. The controller of the immeasurable world in the 3,000 great worlds is also the largest and powerful Buddha, Lord besides the Tongtian Buddha, possessing the top strength of Tier 3. The few monk heads who passed through the great wilderness to enter the Desiyu are considered 4 generations of disciples under his sect. Most of the monk heads who went to the Desiyu were disciples under the immeasurable Buddha's sect. The rhetoric of simultaneously surpassing the immortal was made by this immeasurable Buddha himself. It was precisely this sentence that led the monk heads in the boundless world to enter the endless wilderness, crossing half of the wilderness and crossing the boundary wall into the Great Division domain. It's my disciple. It seems to be facing the killing and robbery. Immeasurable Buddha replied lightly. He only mentioned the little novice, but did not mention Jian Wushuang, or deliberately concealing it. After all, not long ago he also bestowed that piece of Bodhi heart tree to Jian Wushuang. How could he not feel Jian Wushuang's existence? Moreover, he is also known for his deductions. The Tao mastered by the emperor is even the Tao of heaven. Although the master of Tao is only at a medium level, he also has the strength of a third-order emperor. Then let's save it on the way. It shouldn't take much time. Tongtian Buddha glanced at Emperor Dongyan next to him, and then looked at Immeasurable Buddha meaningfully. The three of them were considered to be the three strongest existences in the heavens back then. When they were born, the heavens were not yet broken, and they were both emperors of their respective sections. Naturally, there were a lot of fights, but in the end he won. Fortunately, Dong Yen has mastered the boundaries of the land and formed his own sect. He has always been in competition with him. Wuliang entered Buddhism halfway and became his right-hand man, but he could feel that his mind had never entered Buddhism. This very meaningful glance made Wuliang feel a little uncomfortable. After suppressing some low-hearted things, he slowed down and replied, "This is natural." Tongtian Buddha retracted his gaze and didn't say anything. This time the Chishan temple suddenly appeared in the great wilderness. His half-master of the great wilderness actually hides such secrets. He actually didn't know at all. In the past few years, Wuliang has been advocating that missions enter the domain of the Great Division, and he is even more puzzled. Now it seems that all of this has already been planned. While Jian Wushuang flees desperately, he must always be on guard against Xiang Bingyun. He has already reached the point of collapse. Fortunately, his mental strength was too strong to be comparable to that of the emperor. With such a state of mind, he could persist until now. If it were an ordinary Dayan immortal, he would have died several times early, even in rank 9. Good fellow, hold on. I can feel that vitality is just ahead, and it's coming soon. The little novice monk said as he threw the Buddhist beads in his hands. He is a novice monk in the boundless world. He grew up on Mount Wuliang, where he is the dojo of Lord Blessed Buddha. He is a 6th-generation disciple on the mountain. He has never descended from the mountain after cultivating for tens of thousands of years. Now he has followed a few masters when he came down the most dangerous Great Wasteland, passing through half of the Great Wasteland, came outside the boundary wall with great difficulty, and was about to enter the coveted Great Division domain, but it was only a moment that it would be plunged into the mire again. This catastrophe was 100,000 and 10,000 times greater than the danger encountered at any one time. Several masters fell into the great wilderness one by one and did not enter the Great Division until their deaths, and even one of the Great Division's immortals had not been transformed. Now, they have been chased and killed all the way, but in a day's time, it feels like cultivating for hundreds of millions of years. Not good. Jian Wushuang's tight body trembled suddenly. Tick, tick. A sharp claw passed through Jian Wushuang's chest, and golden blood slid down the sharp claws and dripped onto the little novice monk's face. Good man. The young novice monk's vision was red. The master was dead. The second master blew himself up for him, and the third master abandoned everything to let them live. All they did was to keep him alive without hesitating life and death. Will the great philanthropist who has been protecting him now also die? Why? The little novice released his small hand holding Jian Wushuang, and the Buddhist beads on the other hand were also crushed by him unknowingly. Why is this? We just want to live. The little novice monk's eyes turned blood red, and the moment he released his hand, his body sprang out and stood in front of Jian Wushuang. The little novice clenched his fists tightly. His small face was full of evil spirits, and even his thick eyebrows were trembling. At this moment, he stood in front of Jian Wushuang and looked directly at 9-turn consummation Dian Fairy Xiang Bingyun. "Hurry up!" Jian Wushuang resisted the injury. All the treasures on his body were exhausted when he escaped. The battle armor had long been broken, and even the indestructible Wushuang Excalibur had long been broken. Jian Wushuang swung several swords desperately, exhausting the last bit of thought power to stop Xiang Bingyun, and then stretched out his hand to pull the little novice monk. "Go!" "No!" The little novice opened Jian Wushuang's arm, and at this moment, the weaker, he unexpectedly exploded with a kind of unmoving power. It was only a moment's delay before Xiang Bingyun arrived in front of the little novice monk. Things that do not live or die. Xiang Bingyun's illusion disappeared behind him, revealing his original appearance. His height shrunk to just over a battle height, and the cyan scales on his body fluttered with the wind. "Go to hell!" After chasing for so long, Xiang Bingyun's heart was also extremely angry, and his hand was a dead hand, and the huge palm directly slapped the little novice monk. With the claws of the 9 revolving consummation Dian, immortal, even Jian Wushuang at his peak did not dare to resist at will. The little novice monk was not afraid of anyone, and stood there without blinking his eyes, wanting to resist. Jian Wushuang's eyes trembled too late to stop all of this. He didn't want to die. He had just mastered the extreme way, and the ultimate way was only at the 5th level. He still has an endless future, and he shouldn't die here. Forget it. Don't run away. Jian Wushuang touched the broken Wushuang Excalibur in his hand. The broken body was drifting away one by one. He glanced at the little novice who stretched out his hands to stop Xiang Bingyun, and he leaked out. There was a smile. The little novice monk stretched out his hands and exhaled a suffocating breath. This breath took 30 million years of practice. At this moment, he suddenly realized that there was Zen in his eyes, and his heart was naturally broad. This broad road without traces is as white as jade, with Zen in my eyes, Zen in my heart, and the only one in my heart. My life is extraordinary. In an instant, the little novice Hui Qing stepped into the Tao. Chapter 51:34. "Stop it for me." The little novice monk roared, and the avenue loomed behind him, and the world of law was constantly changing. Behind the little novice, monk appeared a head of monk with a huge Buddhist bead hanging on his neck. Behind him is not the Buddha, nor the most precious image, but an ordinary monk who resembles a little novice in foreign trade. He is glaring at the Vajra with one hand while holding a brown long stick in the other hand. "Break it for me." The little novice monk's thin body was completely integrated into the world and merged with the same-looking monk head holding a brown long stick. Boom, boom, boom. Even Jian Wushuang didn't dare to hold a claw forcibly, but was broken by the little novice monk. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed astonishment because the stick technique was invisible, but was able to resist the 9th turn consummation Dian immortal. One step into the Tao, and it seems to be the ultimate Tao. I am afraid that only the ultimate Tao can be so strong. The blood claws collapsed, and Xiang Bingyun, who had reached his figure, instantly retreated, pulling 1,000,000 miles away before stopping. "How is this possible? How can you stop me?" Xiang Bingyun couldn't believe it. He had never put the little novice in his eyes, a bald donkey who was not even an immortal, had it not been for Jian Wushuang to protect him. Early he was shocked to death by his coercion. Now this inconspicuous little novice suddenly broke out, and he took his strongest claw with a stick. He has lived for countless chaos eras, and he has never heard of anyone who can cross several realms in one step and directly master the complete road. Is he always pretending? Xiang Binjian's doubts were greater than shock, but he quickly denied his speculation. No, it's not a disguise. If it was a disguise, it would have been a long time ago. Good fellow, your wounds. The young monk had turned into a little novice, turned his head, and looked at Jian Wushuang. I can hold it. Jian Wushuang forcibly resisted the collapse of his body and sat down cross-legged. His body was constantly repairing his injuries, and he only needed tea to fully recover. Now, the little novice monk suddenly exploded, and he was able to block Xiang Bingyun for the time being. He must hurry up to recover from his injuries. In the unlikely event that a 9-turned consummation Dayan appeared out of those corpses, no matter how strong the little novice monk was, the two of them would have fallen here today. I didn't expect that after billions of years of deposition, I would meet you two freaks just after recovery. Xiang Bingyun moved his wrist. He was surprised that the young novice suddenly broke out, and his strength was not yet astonishing. Although the little novice can block his strongest claws, it does not mean that he can match him. Now that the aura has dissipated, it can sense that the little novice's aura is declining. Although the strength of the two men in front of him is not a threat to him, each of these two men can touch the threshold of the 9th rank perfect Dayan immortal. If they were placed in the Wangu period, they would definitely be cultivated by the sect as the emperor. It's a pity that I met him now. If he had been before, he might have been a pity, but now he has been suppressed by Zhen Wuyang for hundreds of millions of years, and he has become inhumane and ghostless. It is still hopeful that he will be elegant in the ancient times. The Tianjiao of Desiu. Kill you? I am afraid that even Zhen Wuyang will feel distressed. Xiang Binjian's mouth leaked a sneer. As long as he could make Zhen Wuyang upset, he would go to work if he spared his life. His hatred for Zhen Wuyang has accumulated for hundreds of millions of years, and everything that happened during the Wangu period seems to be yesterday. He can't forget Zhen Wuyang's disgusting face, and can't forget the resplendent Wangu era. Kill. The endless anger was vented at this moment, and a blood-coughing battle axe appeared in his hand. This was the weapon he used when he commanded the heavenly court. The axe was stained with ancient blood, which made him once brilliant. The blood axe slid down through the air, as if the sky mark remained for a long time, and the fluttering chi burst, wandering in the positive void. The little novice monk turned into a monk head, dancing with a long stick in his hand, soaring into the sky, actually going to face Xiang Bingyun head-on. The two of them fought together in an instant. The little novice's stick technique was completely natural, and the whole set of stick technique was dripping, and the blood axe of the above Bingyun made him unable to get anything cheap for a while. Every time the brown stick is swung, there is room to protect itself, attacking the enemy by 7 points, and retaining 3 points of strength of its own. Offense and defense complement each other, which makes Xiang Bingyun unable to break through and unable to kill. The little novice monk is calm and steady, with unlimited zen in his heart and natural sticks in his hands. This is the ultimate way of Buddhism, Zen. After 30 million years of Buddhism practice, at this moment, he has completely understood his own way, stepped out of a path of practice that others could not cross for hundreds of millions of years, and directly promoted to Buddhism Donkey Kong, whose strength is comparable to that of the 9th-turned consummation Dayan immortal. Such an amazing talent. Even a few Buddhas in the world of Tongtian Buddhism can't do it. If he can go back alive this time, he will definitely be designated as the first Buddha on Mount Wuliang. The ultimate way is rare in the primitive universe. There is only one ultimate way of the emperor level, and it is also the strongest existence in the primitive universe today, the ancestor of the ancient gods. As for the ultimate evangelism, it is unforgettable. There are only a few of the countless realms in each era that can reach the eternal emperor. It is too difficult to be in harmony. If Jian Wushuang hadn't broken through to the Dian immortal level because he had realized the ultimate way and had gone to the starry sky for hundreds of millions of years, and the ultimate kendo was still at the 5th level, he had never broken through. The ultimate way at least reaches the 7th level before there is a chance to join the way. The chance of success is 1 in a billion, which is why there is only one ultimate emperor in the entire primitive universe, the ancestor of the ancient gods. And the little novice monk entered the Tao step by step and directly mastered the Zen machine in the ultimate path. Judging from the surface strength, it should have stepped into the 6th level one step at a time. If you go further, you can try to become the ultimate emperor, the emperor of the ultimate way. Even if you don't control any world, you have the strength of a 4th-order emperor, the ancestor of the ancient gods. The ancestor of the ancient gods succeeded in coordinating the Tao at the 7th level. Afterwards, I don't know how many chaotic eras, destroying the road and reaching the 5th-order emperor. This is the pinnacle of the universe. And he still hopes to climb one step further. The destruction path reaches the 9th level, and he is truly invincible in the universe. The Lord of the universe will be at his fingertips by then, but this step is also extremely difficult and requires a big opportunity. Success is too difficult. Now the little novice enters the Tao with one step, and the strength is so strong. Who knows what he will be like if he takes another step that day? This is the real Tianjiao. Once he enters the emperor, he is considered a tier 4 strength. Most of the emperors cultivated by the top forces are trapped in the Dian immortal. Even if they become emperors, many of them are ordinary trails. They only have 1st-order strength when they first enter the emperor, and it is extremely difficult to control a low-level world. This kind of emperor is too weak, and it's not worth training by those big forces. The emperor at least has the 2nd-order strength to be considered a strong person. As for the 3rd-order emperor, he is the leader of a large force. Chapter 5135, Temple of Qi. Regardless of the outside world, the 18 gods and generals in the temple remained motionless, and the Dahuang Heavenly Way was unknowingly held by Lu Kuo. After all, it inherited the wild avenue of the master. This avenue is the top avenue. The master of the Qishan temple once held a cosmic mystery by virtue of this avenue. In the long river of time and space, there are not only countless universes, but also many secret realms that are no less than the universe. These secret realms are like reefs in the river. If the universe breeds life, then the secret realms are dangerous, and the roads contained in them are extremely terrifying. The Lord of Desolation has cultivated this great road to the top and has taken charge of a cosmic secret realm. His strength is extremely terrifying, and he is stronger than the Lord of the Universe. Lu Kuo, congratulations. Yang Jun leaked a smile. The great wilderness was completely controlled, and the strength of 6 crows soared to the early stage of Tier 4, and with the wasteland and the great wilderness, it was enough to disregard the top of the universe. In this way, in the great wilderness, no one came to watch. Everyone, I have completely controlled the great wilderness now. Even if Shen Wuyang comes again, it will not be my opponent. Now, we should discuss the next plan. Lu Kuo's palm rubbed the handle of the boulder throne. His strength had just broken through. The power in the body couldn't help leaking and spreading. The other guardians of the temple are all Tier 3 strengths, and naturally felt how terrifying the power exuded by 6 crows. Suhi frowned slightly. His heart moved slightly. Lu Kuo's approach to these emperors who are addicted to Qishan Dao feels ashamed, but on the surface, he still needs him to fight against Shen Wuyang. The strength of the 4th-order emperor and the third order emperor is very different, and the real Wuyang Dao is not weak. It is also a top-level road. If you control the middle world, you will have the strength of the fourth order ruler. In the future, you can go further and raise the big division to a higher level. In the world, the strength can go further, reaching the top of the universe and jumping out of the universe to travel the long river of time and space. Although this path is not as majestic as the path of the gods, it is fortunate that it can quickly change its real power. If, like other emperors, they insist on the Tao of the gods, even if time is wireless, it will be difficult for them to elevate the Tao of the gods to the level of the master of the universe. In the original universe, there are several fifth-order emperors, and they don't know how many epochs they have existed, but they still haven't been able to control the universe and become the master of the universe. The ancestor of the ancient gods, as the only ultimate emperor, has the highest strength in the fifth rank. He once traveled the long river of time and space and crossed countless universes, but he still had no confidence in controlling the universe. These emperors, they are not the top in the big division domain. They can't breathe under the pressure of a real Wuyang, and their recovery is based on luck, so they want to become the lord of the universe. Lu Kuo couldn't help but sneer. Brother Liuya, now you are the strongest and have the ability to guard the temple of Qishan. I think we will change our plan to stay in this great wilderness. What do you think? Suhi's momentum sank slightly, which is enough to give Liuya a lot of face. However, the other emperors obviously looked down on Lu Kuo a little and just snorted. Anyway, I don't have any attachment to Desiyu. I can walk or stay. As for the safety of the Temple of Qishan, I don't have to worry about anyone's face. If it's a big deal, I'll fight again. At the 7th level, no one in the 3rd level is my opponent, even if I have confidence in Zhen Wuyang. He was talking about the warlike Emperor Fenghua in the Wangu era, and he was the first to fall in the battle between the Wangu era and Zhen Wuyang. In that era, the Emperor of Desiyu respected Qishan Dao. Zhen Wuyang, a second-order emperor who inherited Zhenwu Dao, they did not take it seriously. Even if he mastered Desiyu at most, he was a third-order emperor. But what they didn't expect was that Zhen Wuyang had created his own unique skills on Zhenwu Avenue, and he insisted that Zhenwu, a medium avenue, was elevated to the top avenue of the peak. As soon as he took control of the big division, he had Tier 3 top strength. Afterwards, he fought the heavens of all parties, pressed the emperors under their feet, and unified the entire Desai domain, driving them all to the depths of the great wilderness. This shameful history everyone present is willing to remember, especially that they also brought several generations of disciples under their sect, all of them at the level of Dayan immortals, and began to open up the world in the abyss. The people who had been expelled from the Great Division domain did not expect that the Zhen Wuyang, who integrated the Great Division domain, would still not let them go. After reaching the 4th rank in strength, Zhen Wuyang alone came to the depths of the great wilderness and combined them with 100 million. 1 disciples were killed together. There was a torrent of water in the great wilderness that day, and a Shenlu appeared in the silent void. Blood was shed, while Shenlu was made up of corpses, which was the land that Jian Wushuang had stepped on. This kind of shame, everyone has already hated Zhen Wuyang to their bones. Lu Kuo sneered and said, "Okay, if you want a Zhanda, you can go out and seek revenge from Zhen Wuyang. For the safety of the Temple of Qi, it is incumbent on me as a candidate for God Lord. You can rest assured." In his opinion, these emperors have already become demons, and they will not change together with the gods, let alone the master of the universe. It is a big problem that can understand the way of the gods to the 9th level in this life. Even if they reach the 9th floor, what can he do? When they reach the 9th floor, he will have promoted Da Huang to the higher world. By then, he will also have the strength of Tier 5, and it will be a 5-pointed 6. Huang Dao is a top-level avenue, to be complete, is also the peak powerhouse who can compete for the universe. Lu Crow, don't think that your strength surpasses me. You can be so presumptuous. When I fought in the Big Division territory, you were nothing. Emperor Fenghua was also a violent temper. When he became the emperor, all the emperors present were considered his descendants, and Lu Crow had not yet been born. What am I? Do you want to try? Lu Crow mobilized the endless power of the entire great wilderness, and the body was instantly recast. The handsome face was a little pale, her purple eyes turned slightly, and the wild beast mark on the center of her eyebrows kept flickering. Snapped. Lu Crow knocked on the handle of the stone seat and slowly stood up. The moment he got up, the aura in the hall was instantly pulled down several levels. A terrifying pressure wandered above the main hall. As long as Lu Crow's thoughts moved, able to lean down and directly suppress all emperors. This is the difference in strength. The Qixin Dao perfectly overlaps the Baron Dao. He has just converted the Baron Dao to the 9th level. Once the Dao is completed to perfection in the future, he will be able to step into the 5th level and open up a higher world with his own strength. I have been pursuing the Qixin Dao for a lifetime, and only now I understand that the strength at hand is called hard strength. Everything else is a delusion. If only talking about the power of Tao, wouldn't the ultimate emperor look down on anyone? After all, the success of the ultimate Tao and Dao will soon be able to cultivate to the 5th order emperor. Under the powerful coercion, several other emperors hurriedly came out to complete the battle. Chapter 51:36. Fenghua, don't say a few words. Brother Liuya waited for me, but gave up the great Tao of universe. Brother Lu Crow, at this time it is not the time for internal fighting. It is estimated that Zhan Wuyang has already arrived. Although we are safe in the temple, but on the path of cultivation, how can we keep retreating? We still need to stand firm against strong enemies first. That's right. While everyone was still arguing, in addition to the great wilderness Buddha and Zhan Wuyang, a number of large forces reached the edge of the great wilderness one after another. In the depths of the great wilderness, Zhan Wuyang sat cross-legged in the void, and he was the only one in the Desai domain, but one person was enough. The 4th order emperor was at his door again. He had nothing to worry about. The only change was the disappearance of the Temple of Qixin. In the Wanggu era, he drove all the emperors to the depths of the great wilderness. He rummaged through all places in Desiyu, but failed to find the legendary Temple of God. At first, he suspected that the Temple of Qixin was recognized by a certain emperor. He entered the depths of the great wilderness and killed all the Dayan immortals obtained in the Temple of Qixin, together with the emperor. He rose at the end of the Wanggu era and had no chance to contact the Temple of Qixin. 18 emperors blocked the news of the Temple of Qixin. He also learned that there was a Temple of Qixin in their Desai domain when he got the inheritance of Zhenwu. The inheritance also describes where the Temple of Qixin came from, and even records the very mysterious Tao of the gods. He didn't describe too much about the Qixin, but there was one thing Zhen Wuyang was convinced that it was true to enter the Qixin temple to become an emperor. At the end of the Wanggu era, as his strength continued to grow, he also knew that in addition to the Big Division domain, there were other domains. In other domains, the existence of emperors was very rare. There were several domains around, and only their Big Division domain was in one. The era has more than a dozen emperors. In addition, after obtaining the Tao of Zhen Wuyang, he became more and more convinced that there was a big secret hidden in the Qixin temple. The way of the gods, the mystery of the emperor, even the legendary Lord of the Universe is involved. In order to find the truth, he launched a large-scale killing outside the territory, killing everyone in the town just to find the temple of the gods. But the final result is that everyone has been killed without finding the Temple of Qixin. After many years, he was relieved, and he didn't deliberately seek the Temple of Qixin. This matter was crushed in the bottom of his heart. Until now, the resurrection of the Emperor of Wangu era and the birth of the Temple of Qixin made him recall the memories of his past. If only those emperors recover, he would not care at all. He was a fourth-order emperor in the Wangu era. Now, in the past hundreds of millions of years, his strength has already reached the fourth-order peak. If it were not for the sudden birth of the Qixin Temple, he would have planning to leave the original universe. Primitive universe's help to the emperor is already very small. If you want to go further, you can only go to the long river of time and space. Where is the place for the emperor to go? The places with great opportunities are also dangerous. Even if he is the fourth-order peak emperor, he also has the risk of falling. Now that the Temple of Qixin appeared again, he didn't know if it was a great opportunity. If the only opportunity before him, then he would go all out. Stepping into the top of the universe, it is incumbent for the monks of my generation. Zhen Wuyang opened his eyes, and his consciousness had been locked in the Temple of Qixin that was floating in the void. He can't go now. He has to wait until the other strong people arrive. If he goes alone, who knows whether those Wangu emperors will directly carry the far shield of the Temple of Difference. He didn't have the confidence to leave this Temple of Qixin alone, so he had to wait for other emperors to come, suppress the Temple of Qixin together, kill the old guys of the ancient age, and then go to the emperor's battle in other realms. Unpredictable on one side, but unpredictable life and death on the other. Jian Wushuang and the young novice Hui Qing are still facing the life and death enemy Xiang Bingyun. No matter how subtle the stick method is, even if it is not leaking, the strength gap will be difficult to bridge after all. It is just a few breaths, and the little novice Hui Qing will again be difficult for Binjian's offensive. The axe is the pinnacle of power. One force breaks 10,000 magic. Even if the defense is perfect, it will be broken when it encounters absolute power. Jian Wushuang thought of the giant man he had encountered in the starry sky. He also held an axe in his hand. The giant axe could open the sky in his hand. That scene seemed to have passed for a long time. Jian Wushuang thought about it carefully. Wang, the little novice monk, couldn't hold on any longer. Tianxiang began to collapse, but his figure had been standing in front of Jian Wushuang, never stepping back. Even his body was broken. Huh! Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief. The injuries on his body have recovered 7 or 88, but his mental strength need time to slowly accumulate. However, Jian Wushuang's current state of mind has undergone qualitative changes under successive dangers. This is of great help to the heart sword world of the 5th level of Ultimate Sword Do. Especially Ji Dao also needs mental blessing. In the starry sky, he has actually mastered Ji Dao Billion. For thousands of years, it was only ascending to the 3rd level. The 1st level was his state when he realized the extreme realm, the 2nd level was what he realized on the stars, and the 3rd level was the complete mastery of the extreme realm. With only 3 levels mastered, Jian Wushuang's one-year universe can fight the 9-turned consummation Dian Immortal, which is considered extremely powerful. Ordinary trails, you can realize the 6th level when you reach the 3rd round of Dian Immortal. The 7th floor reaches the 6th round of Dian Immortal. The 8th floor reaches the 9th round of Dian Immortal. The 9th floor reaches the 9th round of Great Yin Immortal. And the 10th floor, it is that Hadao succeeded in becoming the emperor. Although the emperor who mastered this kind of ordinary avenue was better than Dian Immortal, it was not much stronger. He was the lowest level among the emperors, and even the status was not as good as some of the emperors of the 9th rank. Only by comprehending a Tao to its peak can you become the emperor, which shows how weak this trail is. He Dao succeeded, and Dao has been fully understood. I have been trapped in a 1st-order emperor all his life. This type of emperor is the most useless, but this type of emperor is the most in the universe. If it is subdivided, the countless avenues of Hanoi in time and space can be divided into 5 levels. The 5th class is the first-order emperors who blocked the road. They are the weakest of the same level at that stage, but that's it. They can rely on time to make this simple and stable step by step. The avenue came to an end. Compared with the 5th-class avenue, it can be said that there are qualitative changes. Many Dayan immortals also walked this avenue. If they succeed in coordination, they still have further hope. Once they understand the whole way, the strength will reach the second-order emperor. In the second-order monarch, they can control a low-level world. With the blessing of the world, in their own dojo, their strength can reach the peak of the second-order monarch. They have the advantage of the dojo and are not afraid of some third-order monarchs. But now the lower worlds in the universe have been divided up by the major forces. If there is no background identity, there is no chance to control the world and become a Taoist ancestor. Chapter 5137. The first 2 ways are currently the most born emperors in the universe. Although Jian Wushuang didn't know much about the emperor, according to what he found from some relics, the stronger the emperor's way, the more difficult it would be to improve. Although life is infinite, if the mastery of the Tao has been stopped, it will affect the state of mind and eventually fall into a madness, and the consciousness will also collapse. Many of those who have entered the great wilderness are like this. Many cultivators have realized a Tao that belongs to them at the level of immortality. At first, they are still ignorant and can't distinguish the level of Tao at all. But the emperor, the holy sun, and the Daozi cultivated by some powerful forces are all for them to understand some of the first-class Tao, that is, the third-class Tao. This path is currently the one that evolves the most. At the evolving level, most of the Tianjios are mastered. If it is advanced to the evolving realm, then the status and strength will skyrocket. Because when this Tao reaches its peak, one can control the middle world and become a third-order emperor. The third-order emperor, that is the man in the universe who controls a world or builds a huge power to reach the peak of power. This is the pursuit of a large number of Tianjiao, but these Tianjiao are stuck in the realm of Yanxian when they are on the 4th floor, and when they are on the 8th floor, they are stuck in the 9th rank perfect Dayan. Many of the Nineth rank perfect Dayan immortals have survived endless years, has been stuck there. As for the Tianjiao who was stuck in the realm of Yanxian, either he was expelled from the sect or abandoned himself, and his mind was destroyed. Too many shocking arrogances have fallen on this road. If it is said that the third-class Tao is the destination of Tianjiao, then the second-class Tao is the goal of the great emperors. There will be so few dazzling characters in every era, except for the real Wuyang of Desiyu, of course. The rise of Zhen Wuyang would be a real Ichi Juechen. At the same time, at the level of the Dayan Immortal, there were still a few people who were comparable to him, and they were all second-class avenues, but those few people stayed at the level 9 forever. And even the level 9 Dayan Immortal could not even be able to step in. Only the way of Zhen Yang travels unimpeded all the way, and after entering the emperor, he can go further in a short time and become a 4th-order emperor. Now, in the past hundreds of millions of years, Zhan Weiyang's strength has reached the top of Tier 4, which is comparable to the masters of some higher worlds. If the higher worlds are further opened up, the strength will have a greater improvement. The second-class road can reach its peak to become a 5th-order emperor, although countless stunning arrogances have fallen on this road, and the accumulation of countless generations, a number of emperors have been born, but these emperors have already left the original universe, went to the mysterious long river of time and space. After all, it is unrealistic to want to go further in the primitive universe, and the various relics and treasures in the primitive universe are of little help to them, and there is no need to leave them. The Fifth Order emperors looked at the entire time and space river. They were the top existences. Where could they fight against the peak emperors of the universe to go one step further and seek the top of the universe? This is also in the primitive universe today. There is only one Fifth Order emperor, the ancestor of the ancient gods. If it is said that taking the second-class road is a shocking arrogance and worthy of serious cultivation by a large force, then a practitioner who can realize the ultimate path is the darling of the entire universe. Not only the major forces will go wild, but even the universe will give him all kinds of opportunities, giving him great luck in the ultimate way, and practitioners who can realize the ultimate way. Every one of them has great luck. To be able to get so many benefits, there will naturally be great resistance. After all, even the supreme rule of the universe cannot look down on wanting to help. This is obviously a violation of the balance of the supreme rule. Although the supreme rule does not have any emotions, consciousness is like a weapon. It's cold, but it can adjust the balance in the universe by itself. In its view, the ultimate way is not a so-called genius, but a poor person who is teased by fate. Therefore, the supreme rule adds luck to these practitioners. Since Jian Wushuang realized the ultimate kendo, the opportunities have been constant, and he has naturally obtained the luck given by the supreme rules of the universe. From the galaxy, lakes, and seas on the 4th level of the ultimate path to the heart sword world on the 5th level, he was accidentally rescued by the monk head of the world of Tongtian Buddhism. He realized the perverted road of Jidao. There are still records of the ultimate way, but the ultimate way is not only the first time Jian Wushuang has heard of it, but he has not even heard of the secret method of inheritance. Only with the 3rd rank Dayan Immortal, he can use the domain rich in great avenues like Yin Universe, and the power of his mind surpasses the existence of many emperors. Today's Jian Wushuang contains 3 great roads in his body. The farthest one is the ultimate kendo, reaching the 5th level. The second is mental strength. Now his mental strength level has reached the 4th level unknowingly. The mental strength and kendo complement each other to make the ultimate kendo reach the 5th level of the heart sword world. The ultimate kendo naturally feeds back the heart power and directly raises the mental strength level to the 5th level. Floor. The last one is the extreme way that you just mastered. Although a Kanshu, Kam is only the 3rd level, it is able to perform such a perverted secret of the universe. This is also Jian Wushuang's biggest hole card now. And the second is the heart sword world. Now, the physical body has been completely repaired from the state of being on the verge of collapse, and the power of mind and mind has also been greatly improved. Jian Wushuang guessed in his heart that every time he encounters a major crisis, it is a test of his state of mind and power of mind, as long as he passes it steadily. These 2 avenues will be promoted, but this is only the first time to improve. Jian Wushuang is still not sure if it is true, then he will become stronger with the war until he reaches the top of the universe, or he is in the next crisis. What? Xiang Bingyan rounded his arms again and smashed the giant axe at the little novice monk. The blood axe rolled like a dragon, tearing apart the void and exploding the energy in the surrounding void, like a violent storm and black clouds rushing straight into the little novice monk. Under the powerful pressure, the little novice monk did not change his face, but the speed of his body collapsed even faster. Now, his Yanli divine body has been burned by half. If there is a loss, then his strength will drop again. At that time, he can only follow like a few masters. He chose to blew himself up, exhausted his strength, and fought to the last moment. The golden secret text on the brown long stick faintly flickered, and the little novice changed his face. His eyes widened with a roar, and he tried his best to display the last stick. But his divine body has lost half, and his strength has naturally declined severely, and he is unable to use the stick anymore, but he still gritted his teeth and desperately used the strongest stick. It's a pity that this strongest stick still can't resist Xiang Bingyun. Even if he casts this stick in his peak state, he can only achieve a tie. Break it for me. Xiang Bingyun's body tumbling, Yanli poured the giant axe again. Boom. Chapter 51:38. The axe collided with the long stick. After the secret text on the brown long stick flickered again and again, it was completely unable to hold on, and it flew out directly from the little novice monk. Without the secret script blessing, the long stick is just a harder stick. Only the secret script blessing. Talent can be regarded as a treasure. The little novice who did not have any weapons in both hands did not retreat. Facing the giant axe, he actually used both hands to catch it. Chi, chi, chi. The sound of the blood axe tearing the flesh and blood was terrible. The little novice was gritted his teeth, his face was pale, and his eyes were full of evil spirits. Eventually, blood stains flowed out of his teeth, and his body could no longer hold it. Good man. The little novice spit out 2 words from his teeth with difficulty, and then tried to leak a smile, and then said hoarsely, Hui Qing is going to follow the footsteps of the master. Good man, take care. After saying this, the little novice monk, regardless of his whole body injuries, his aura skyrocketed again. Countless cracks in his flesh began to spread, and the corners of Xiang Bingyun's eyes trembled violently. He knew that the little bald donkey was about to explode. Call! Jian Wushuang took a deep breath of Xianhuang and opened his eyes suddenly. At the moment the eyes opened, the breath of the whole body began to rise, and a breath that alarmed the ages emanated from the body. This was the ultimate power. Snapped. As soon as his body moved, Jian Wushuang approached the little novice monk and patted him on the shoulder. Jian Wushuang fisted the blood axe and Xiang Bingyun back. Don't worry, it's not a dead end. Leave the rest to me. Jian Wushuang gave a soft comfort, and then instilled the power of the body into the little novice monk's divine body on the verge of collapse. The golden rays of light bathed the broken body of the little novice monk, and he quickly repaired the broken body of the little novice monk, but he needed to recover what was consumed in his body. Good man, no. The little novice wanted to be the main player. After all, there are still strong enemies at this time. How can Jian Wushuang help him recover from his injuries? Jian Wushuang faintly smiled and said, It's okay, you can regain your strength here, and he will leave it to me. Wow. Jian Wushuang's figure flashed, and before Xiang Bingyun stood still, the broken divine sword behind him pulled out again. Chong! The divine sword was pulled out, and a dazzling light flashed. Although the sword body was broken, it had the blessing of the ultimate way. Even a tree branch with such terrifying power blessing can cut the sky with a sword. Puff! How dare you? Xiang Bingyun whispered in a trembling voice. Although his body was not stable yet when he saw Jian Wushuang's sword, he quickly twisted his body, but the power of that sword was too powerful, and he tore his body directly. One arm was cut off, and he was silent, floating in the void. This was just damage to the physical body. The sword just now contained mental strength. At this time, he vomited brown blood in his mouth, and his heart sank. The original calm mood was broken, and his strength dropped by 30% in a short time. Xiang Bingyun's body was trembling. After coughing a few times, he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with a trembling voice, How can you recover so fast? Your body has clearly reached the point of breaking. How can it be less than a stick of incense? Time will be restored, and even the second grade avenue will not be able to recover so quickly. In his opinion, even if Jian Wushuang was the peerless arrogant of a certain world, he would not be able to recover so quickly after realizing a certain second-rank Tao. according to de Siu's understanding of Tao in the Wangu era. It was divided into 5 classes, just like Jian Wushuang's analysis. The main road in Xiang Binjian's mouth was the 2nd-class main road. As for himself, he was only the 3rd-rank avenue, which was bestowed to him by the Lord of Heaven. He abandoned the original ordinary avenue and inherited this 3rd-rank avenue. He also used his military exploits in the Wangu era to climb to the 9th rank to reach the perfect Dayan Immortal, which is also contemporary. Heavenly Court highly valued the 9 ranks consummation Dayan Immortal, although the chance of success in the combination is very small. But if it succeeds, then he will have the strength of a second-order emperor. As long as he controls a world, he can go one step further and become a third-order emperor. This is what he has been pursuing all the time. Although the 3rd stage Dao is not a rare Dao in the universe, he was also a dozi of a certain sect in the age of Wangu, and he was also a goddess who surprised countless people. But now, compared with the 2 young novices, Jian Wushuang, he is an ordinary 9-ranked immortal, and his strength is average. Jian Wushuang is the rank 3 Dayan Immortal, and the little novice monk has a 9th rank in 1 step because of the Zen moment in his heart. After he stabilizes, his strength is the rank 6 Dayan Immortal, 1 rank 3 and 1 rank 6, but he was able to fight the consummation Dayan Immortal for a few breaths, especially Jian Wushuang, 3rd rank Dayan Immortal, but now he was able to hurt Xiang Bingyun with a single sword. Although Xiang Binjian's current strength has not reached its peak, he has such a proud record, let alone a certain high world. Even the emperor of some superpowers in the universe may not be able to make such a leap. Xiang Binjian's mood was broken, and a retreat was born. He didn't dare to go on fighting now. In case that little bald donkey also recovers completely, he is really not necessarily the opponent of these 2 people alone. You reading www. Okanshu. Calm Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold, and the sword just squandered all the mental strength he had just promoted. Although Xiang Binjian's strength had dropped by 30%, he was still not an opponent in the face of a head-on. Now I'm playing against you. Although he is not an opponent, he now expects the sense of crisis very much, and only from the sense of crisis can he become stronger. There is no bottleneck for him from the 3rd rank to the 6th rank. He can feel that as long as he keeps fighting, he will be able to advance to the 6th rank in no time. At that time, his mind and thought power will also increase by leaps and bounds. Mind power is like the scabbard of the ultimate kendo, and his ultimate kendo has also improved extremely fast under the support of his heart power. As long as you can become stronger, keep fighting. Life extends wirelessly because of battle. Jian Wushuang stood in the void, with no wind in his hair, and the breath on his body continued to rise. At this moment, his heart was like still water, just thinking about it. You 2 lunatics. Xiang Binjian's eyes kept twitching. Not only are these 2 powerful men, but they are also crazy when they start their hands. Are they the real arrogance? Zhen Liang seemed to stand out from the Wangu era in this way. Damn it, planted in the hands of Zhen Wuyang back then. And now he can't kill one of the emperors he started. Xiang Binjian's expression was filled with sorrow, his mental state was damaged, and his will was loosened, and there was endless hostility in his heart. Vent. This is the importance of the state of mind. Although most practitioners cannot develop mental strength, if the state of mind is usually stable, even if they do not develop mental strength, they can rely on the strength of the state of mind to not be afraid of any mental strength practitioners, and they will be more able to practice later on. Calmly confronting all kinds of dangers. This is the advantage of a stable mood. Chapter 5139. The state of mind is like the strength of the mind. It is invisible and invisible. It seems useless. In reality, the state of mind is needed everywhere. If Xiang Binjian's mood was stable, he would not be broken by Jian Wushuang's sword, and his strength would drop by 30%. This may be the shortcomings of their recovery powerhouses, their minds extinguished by anger. The two are full of fighting spirit, and the other is resigned but unwilling. The top and bottom are very clear. Xiang Bingyun couldn't hold on any longer. At this time, he also recalled Gu Yuan's end, and quickly slapped a palm on his chest, making him sober. "Rebel, do you dare to mistake me?" Xiang Bingyun roared, but his figure kept moving backwards. He really didn't want to go on fighting now, and he had been away for too long. After all, he was close to Desai. "Domain, I am afraid to return at any time at the speed of Zhen Wuyang. These two people must be the emperor of a certain force, especially Jian Wushuang, who has the aura of Zhen Wuyang, although it is now gone. But in case it is Zhen Wuyang sitting down with the temperament of Zhen Wuyang, if it comes, Da Huang will definitely find him. If he is alone, he will definitely fall." He didn't expect that Zhen Wuyang would have arrived in the great wilderness a long time ago, and he also knew about their affairs, but he didn't bother to care about it. In Zhen Wuyang's eyes, there was only absolute power, and no emperor heavenly court could pass the cloud. But Xiang Bingyun was not clear about all this, and he made up his mind at this time. "Go." Xiang Bingyun retreated and then disappeared into the void. After a wave of space fluctuations, he disappeared. Gone. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised, so he left. Just after Xiang Bingyun left, the void where the two Jian Wushuang were in a twisted change. The figure of the majestic figure was looming, and then it became solid in an instant. At the last moment, these majestic existences were still far away from the two, but the figure and coercion had already arrived here. And then the flesh came. Ooh, a burst of Buddha's sound was utterly empty. This is... Jian Wushuang was extremely surprised. Each of these majestic existences gave him the feeling that Zhen Wuyang had a unique aura, which was a characteristic unique to the emperor. So many emperors? Jian Wushuang's whole person felt bad, but he was as smart as he could react. These existences didn't come here to see him. It should be because of the mysterious ancient temple and the resurrected existence. However, even if the resurrected person is also an emperor, it is impossible to attract so many emperors to come. However, astonishment turned astonishment. Respect for the strong must be held in place. Jian Wushuang immediately bowed and kowtowed. "Junior, to see you, Jian Wushuang." As soon as he opened his mouth, it attracted the eyes of the emperors present. Although it was just a look, he still gave Jian Wushuang a lot of pressure. And then he said after a sigh of relief, "See you, every emperor." Goodness! It was the Tongtian Buddha and his party headed by them. The towering body of Tongtian Buddha exudes endless golden luck, and he looked at Jian Wushuang with a faint smile and said, "Little good man, no need to be polite." "Thanks, monarch." Jian Wushuang ran across countless realms and had seen many big scenes, but it was the first time that he saw so many emperors. Emperor Dongyan, who was standing next to the Tongtian Buddha, dismissed it and even despised the hypocrisy of Tongtian Buddha in front of the juniors. In his opinion, Tongtian Buddha liked the so-called etiquette the most, and he wanted everyone to worship him. The little novice monk, who had been slowing down from the gods, also woke up at this moment, hurriedly folded his hands, and slightly lowered his head. "Buddha Lord!" Immeasurable Buddha's eyes rounded at this time, and he looked at the little novice monk in surprise and said, "Hui Qing, have you realized the ultimate way?" The young novice monk has been on Mount Wuliang since he was a child. Although there are hundreds of millions of monk heads living on the mountain, as the emperor, the head of the monk who lives in his dojo, is familiar to him. Yes. The little novice monk looked calm at this time, and his obsession with Buddhism disappeared in his heart. Instead, the Zen motives in his heart made him realize the Tao. This is great kindness. Although the little novice is a person of Mount Wuliang, as a person of Buddhism, he is the sacred place through the heaven and the Buddha realm. The little novice has realized the ultimate way, and it is also his luck for Buddhism. Yeah, for many years, the 3,000 worlds have not found the ultimate way again. Emperor Dong Yen also saw at a glance that the little novice monk had strong luck, and the avenue in his body was even more aura, obviously some kind of ultimate, the way, and it seems that this ultimate way is still a long way away. After watching the immeasurable Buddha carefully, he also discovered that the ultimate path in the little novice monk had gone a long way. It's really the same as I thought. Tusk, the surface of boundless Buddha, was filled with joy, but his heart was secretly murderous. 30 million years, I have cultivated the ultimate way to the 6th floor. Hui Qing will return to the 3,000 worlds this time. You can come to my Tongtian mountain to choose any emperor's unique knowledge. After Tongtian Buddha praised him, he looked at Wuliang and said, "Infinite Hui Qing's qualifications can be established as the emperor's son. He was originally a novice monk under the immeasurable family, but the Buddha said all the good things." Dong Yen shook his head. However, no matter who the disciple of the 3,000 worlds is, there can be a practitioner of the ultimate path. Yuwu, Okanshu, come, they should all be happy. Dong Yen looked at the little novice monk with a milder look. He could feel that the little novice's disposition was not like immeasurable or Tongtian, but a natural disposition. The more he looked at it, the more he liked it. Looking at this young junior, he couldn't help thinking of his former disciple. That disciple was his pride, and he reached the 7th level of the ultimate path after practicing for millions of years. He was the most genius Dayan immortal in the history of the 3,000 great worlds. Millions of years, the 7th level of the ultimate path, the 9 turns of the cultivation realm, and the great development of the immortal. If it was before, even Jian Wushuang would not dare to be sure that he could reach the 7th level of the ultimate path for 1,000,000 and dare not master him. Now I have the confidence to reach the 7th level in 1,000,000 years. It is a pity that this talented Tianjiao was finally hurt by love and broke his mind. When the mood was unstable, he hurriedly went to the Tao and finally failed in the Tao, and there was no chance to advance to the emperor. Love, Tao, and all were lost, and eventually self-destruction of consciousness completely fell. Emperor Dongyan didn't accept his disciples since then. The reputation of that disciple may be forgotten by many people now, but he has always remembered it in his heart. Tianji Daojun. The eyes of many emperors were on the young novice monk, and no one was in charge of Jian Wushuang for a while, but he also stayed idle. Everyone thought that it took 30 million years for the little novice to cultivate the ultimate way to the 6th level. Only Jian Wushuang's little novice has stepped into the ultimate path one step at a time. He has to be one level higher. But the little novice did not want to say. Jian Wushuang would naturally not mention it. "So, this little good man saved you." Boundless Buddha smiled and looked at Jian Wushuang. "Yes," the little novice monk replied softly. Chapter 5140. Jian Wushuang heard about it and knew that the little novice had hidden a lot of truth, and the little novice was also looking at him with a smile at this time. The younger generation and Hui Qing supported each other all the way to repel the enemy. It was not my work alone. Although he had been on the sidelines and didn't know the distribution of forces in the 3,000 great worlds, he could roughly hear that, although both Tongtian Buddha and Wuliang were Buddhists, they did not belong to the same power. The Emperor Dongyan was not a person of Buddhism, and the 2 Buddhists of Wuliang Tangshan were not very good at dealing with them. This time they should come together only for the main hall. With such a group of bigwigs, he has to be more careful. Cause and effect cycle. It's hard to calm thoughts. Boundless Buddha waved his hand, and a stream flowed down smoothly. This thing should have some fate with you, and copying it in the future will help the mood. Thank you, Senior. Jian Wushuang's heart trembled after seeing the item clearly, and he hurriedly bowed to thank him. The treasure in the streamer is a short piece of wood, which coincides with the short piece of wood he got, isn't it? Jian Wushuang's heart trembled, and now he understood that the truncated wood was bestowed by the immeasurable Buddha. If so, wouldn't the immeasurable Buddha know that he is a spiritual practitioner and the existence of Chishan Temple? So he also knows the original realm of the little novice monk. But he didn't dare to have any doubts about all of this, with surprises on the surface and surprise hidden in his heart. Yes, he should be the one who is chasing you too. Boundless Buddha stretched out his arm and grabbed directly into the void, randomly stretched his arm for hundreds of millions of miles, breaking through the endless void, and directly grabbing Xiang Bingyun, who had escaped. Came back. The emperors were very calm. Even the novice monk was very calm. Only Jian Wushuang was surprised. No way, there are only a few emperors he knows, and the ones he has really seen are even rarer. He has also seen Zhen Wuyang take a few shots, but there is no sense of shock like the immeasurable Buddha. What? Xiang Bingyun, who was suddenly caught from the void, looked surprised, and then saw the majestic figures of the emperors above the void. His eyes straightened. How is this possible? I'm obviously already far away from here. Even the emperor can't catch me back at such a distance. Xiang Bingyun was shocked and frightened at this time. There are so many emperors, and I am afraid that these emperors are definitely not here for him, but for the master's plan. Predecessors, I am the commander of the heavenly court in the ancient times of Si Yuang, my patriarch. Xiang Bingyun, who was still thinking about dealing with things, was squeezed by the big hand of the immeasurable Buddha. Smashed. The dust returns to the dust, the soil returns to the earth. With a wave of the immeasurable Buddha, countless tiny bones floated from the palm of his hand. They shouldn't appear in this world. The immeasurable Buddha put his hands together, regaining his original benevolent eyebrows. Emperor Dong, Yen curled his lips and muttered in his heart, "Vengeance is revenge. Whatever dust returns to dust. If they don't recover, the secret of Chishan Temple may never be born." With a wave of his hand, he raised a ninth-row perfect Dayan immortal. Jian Wushuang was shocked in his heart, but on the surface he was respectful. Such a strong man can only look up and maybe annihilate him at a certain moment. The two of you will wait here for a while, and then the Dayan immortal of the heavenly Buddha realm will pick you up. The emperors came and went quickly. As soon as their voices fell, their lofty figures disappeared, and then they completely disappeared in front of them. After a few breaths, Jian Wushuang exhaled heavily after the emperor's breath in the void disappeared. The feeling of relief also improved his mood, but the improvement was very small. The little novice monk also recovered from his physical injuries at this time. He turned around and looked at him with a faint smile and said, "Good man, thank you just now." Everyone has a secret, no need to say it. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. He just wants to leave the great wilderness now, but the road to Desiyu is blocked by those corpses. It is estimated that there will be a big battle when these emperors go there. He will not be able to go back in a short time. He can only go to the ferry, Heavenly Buddha realm. However, he just met with the big brothers in the world of Tongtian Buddhism, and his favorability for the world of Tongtian Buddhism was almost zero. Since Tongtian Buddha asked him to be the Dayan immortal in the world of Tongtian Buddha, then he should wait and find a chance to leave later. Now that he has broken through to become Dayan immortal, he has the ability to go to other worlds, and he has a headache when he thinks that it will take tens of thousands of years to cross the entire Great Famine. In the Temple of Chishan, "Hey, Fenghua, the great commander Xiang Bingyan, you sat down, seems to have fallen. Lu Kuo controlled the Dahuang heavenly Tao and naturally knew everything that happened in the Great Desolation. He felt it when Xiang Bingyan was just killed. Xiang Bingyan followed Emperor Fenghua in the battle all his life, and his personality was very similar to Fenghua. Emperor Fenghua naturally valued this subordinate very seriously, thinking that he had the appearance of an emperor, but now he has just recovered and died. Lu Kuo didn't deal with Fenghua at all. At this time, he couldn't help adding fuel to the fire. It seems that he was killed because he was chasing and killing a few Dayan immortals. It's really a waste. In the end, he couldn't kill those two boys. Kill. I will fall by then. You. Fenghua was furious, but when he thought that the great wilderness was under the control of the 6 crows, his anger was suppressed, and he could only say coldly, I will avenge him personally, is now focusing on the overall situation. Haha, revenge. Do you know who killed it? Luya sneered. Who else can anyone besides Zhen Wuyang kill him sooner or later for a shame? Don't you forget that he once humiliated you severely. Fenghua gritted his teeth. The other emperors were closing their eyes and thinking carefully, and they all sighed when they heard the dialogue between the two. All of you here have not been humiliated by Zhen Wuyang, who drove them out of the Desai domain like a bereavement dog. The strength is not enough and can only endure, but who would have thought that Zhen Wuyang's strength progressed so fast, from the 3rd Order Emperor to the 4th Order in less than 10,000 years, and directly killed in the Great Wilderness in order to get the whereabouts of the Qixin Temple, humiliated them in every possible way, and finally all killed in the Great Wilderness. They even took their corpses as the road to the bones of immortality. Humph! Luya didn't want to mention the past, so he stopped targeting Fenghua and told the truth calmly. What? The people in the world of Tongtian Buddhism have arrived. Several emperors were shocked. How could they know the Temple of Qixin? Shouldn't it? Lu Kuo, when did they come? How many emperors came? And what is their strength? A series of questions came out. The people who were originally ambitious and wanted to inherit the Tao of Qixin and become the master of the universe suddenly panicked. Luya looked at everyone at this time and felt that his choice was the right one. Fortunately, he had a long-term vision. Since he was suppressed, he has turned to cultivate wasteland. When he recovered, he also recovered with the Great Wasteland. Chapter 5141. From the Wangu era, he felt that the mood of the people had changed a lot. So lofty. This is regarded as Lu Kuo's view of these people, and the gods given to them by the Qixin Temple make them too proud. In the ancient times, they could have shared with Zhen Wuyang. As long as Zhen Wuyang was attracted to explore the Temple of Qixin, they would not fall into what they are now. When they saw the potential of Zhen Wuyang, they were afraid that Zhen Wuyang would pick the peaches, so they decided to blockade the Temple of Qixin. Even if they died, they would not hand over the Temple of Qixin. The angry Zhen Wuyang frantically searched for the Temple of Qixin in Desiyu and then killed them all in the Great Wilderness. Greed, arrogance, jealousy. How could such a character inherit the way of devouring the gods? The strongest among them is only the 8th level, and the strength is about the 4th level. The Qixin's way is endless. Even if they cultivate to the 10th level, they may not be able to control the universe and become the master of the universe. It is better to step back and study the ways of the 3 great gods early. Now he has stepped into the 8th level of Huangdao, controls the great Huangdao, and already has the strength of a 4th Order Emperor. It's no worse than cultivating Qixin Dao, and he can feel that since he has taken control of the Daohuang Dao, he has a deeper understanding of the Dao Dao. It will not take long before he can cultivate the Dao Dao to the 9th level, and then raise the Daohuang Dao to the 9th level. In the higher world, he will be able to step into the 5th Order and look down upon the entire universe. The stronger the strength, the more generous the gift of the Temple of the Gods. Although he inherits the way of the three gods, the gift will be relatively small, but it can be less. Luya stroked his left arm. This was a gift he got after he took control of the great wilderness and increased his strength a section of his arm. This arm is not known to be the broken arm of the Mighty One. Without refining, it has surpassed the power of the treasure. Since receiving it, the power has increased several times. Even now, he has absolute power against Zhenwuyang. Confidence. As for the many emperors in the hall, each one is his opponent. After hundreds of millions of years, 5 of the 18 emperors of them have third-order strength, and 11 are still second-order emperors. Then it was Daogong who was able to contend with the existence of Zhenwuyang in the Wanggu era. If it weren't for Daogong's Tier 3 strength back then, Zhenwuyang would still need to drive them to the Great Wilderness and destroy them all in the Great Division. It is a pity that Daogong did not break through his strength until his death. After this recovery, his strength barely reached the Tier 4 level, which could not threaten him at all. Everyone, I said that I will guard the Temple of Qixin. This is your direction. Luya looked around the entire hall and then continued, but you have to understand that this world has always spoken by strength. Nowadays, many emperors have come to the Great Wilderness, not only the world of Tongtian Buddhism, but also emperors of other great worlds. Some of them are not weaker than Zhenwuyang. Daogong, who has always been in the first seat of the hall, opened his eyes and said, Lu Crow, you can tell me if you have anything. Yes, let's talk about it. We have accumulated hundreds of millions of years, and our strength has also been improved. With the gift of the Temple of Qixin, we are not what we used to be. They instilled hundreds of millions of Dayan immortals along with their own blood into the Temple of Qixin in the suspended animation that year, just to stimulate the power of the Temple of Qixin. But no one thought that they would wait for hundreds of millions of years for the Temple of the Qixin to feed them back. Their consciousness has been trapped in the Qixin Temple for hundreds of millions of years, and they have been struggling to practice the Qixin Dao. Naturally, their strength has been greatly improved, and they have obtained a lot of treasures from the sacred altar of the Qixin Temple. Although many emperors have come, but it wouldn't be as unbearable as in the Wanggu era, even without the strength to resist. Okay, then I will put the ugly words on the front. I now control the Great Wilderness. Let's set the battlefield in the Great Wilderness. It's okay. This is natural. Everyone nodded. If you are going to fight, everyone will follow my command. This is fine. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere in the hall began to decrease, and everyone kept silent and did not respond. Lu Crow, don't go too far. We are all gods who have inherited the Tao of Qixin. Although you are now a replacement god, you are not qualified to order me to wait. It was Emperor Fenghua who spoke, and he could endure the 6 crows, but the only thing he couldn't bear was that the 6 crows raised their heads. Since inheriting Qixin Avenue, they didn't look down on Guyu. Now let them look at Lu Ya's face and act. If they can be subdued, they hope that the ancient times would have gone to Wen Zhenwuyang long ago. Then it will be his Lu Ya's turn. Everyone, don't you understand now? Lu Ya didn't try to be tough this time. He was very clear about the temperament of these people. The harder he was, the more they opposed it. It doesn't work to be hard. You can only persuade them by lip service. Zhenwuyang, the thief, should have announced the Temple of Qixin. The announcement, I said, is that everyone in the entire primitive universe knows. It is very likely that in the near future, even strong people in different universes will know the existence of the Temple of Qixin. Lu Crow took a deep breath and then said, even the terrifying existence in the long river of time and space will come to the primitive universe because of the Temple of Qixin. Doesn't say that far, just say that now, in the Great Wilderness, I feel it. There were 5 fourth-order emperors who arrived, and this was less than a day. 5 fourth-order emperors. Everyone took a breath. Originally, they thought it was really Wuyang alone, or plus a few emperors from the world of Tongtian Buddhism. The Tongtian Buddha of the world of Tongtian Buddha, the Zhenliang of Desiyu, and two other are strange faces. In addition to these 4 emperors, there are also 7 third-order emperors, 16 second-order emperors, and those of the Dayan immortal level. Stop talking. Lu Crow sat on the throne again, and finally said, "It doesn't matter to me. This is a great wasteland, with endless corpses. As long as they condense them into one body, they can't do anything with me. I will guard the Temple of Qishan, but if you think it's okay to be here, if I save my life, I won't have much." The Qishan Temple is divided into inner and outer halls. They can only rely on the altar to connect with the inner hall. The outer hall they are in is not powerful. Otherwise, they would not be killed by Zhenliang Town back then. Now, Lu Crow has become Taoist ancestor, in control of the great wilderness, and is not afraid of those foreign emperors, but they are not Taoist ancestors, and the strongest are only ordinary fourth-order emperors. There is no place to hide, and it is too late to escape. This Shun Wuyang, isn't he afraid that the Qishan Temple will fall into the hands of the masters of those different universes? It's so despicable. He can't help us alone now, but if he recruits a large number of emperors, he hasn't changed at all. It's still as shameless as before. Everyone, now we need to unite as one to fight against foreign enemies. Daogong stood up. He understood Lu Ya's intentions. Although he knew he would suffer, he had to stand up now. Chapter 5142, Deep in the Wilderness. The first few major forces that entered the great wilderness gradually gathered together. Shun Wuyang, how much do you know about the Temple of Qishan? A golden armored emperor with a noble face looked at Shun Wuyang arrogantly. Emperor Donglin, there is so much information I know about the Qishan Temple, and it has all been sent to you. Shun Wuyang smiled faintly, still sitting cross-legged in the void with composure. Humph, don't think of me as a fool. The Temple of Qishan is floating in the long river of time and space. Who knows what's wrong in it? You are so generous in spreading the location of the Temple of Qishan. You want me to wait for you. Let's take the lead. The Golden Armor Emperor glared at Shun Wuyang. He is the only ruler among the many surrounding worlds, and he controls the higher world. How can he be a for Shun Wuyang? The emperors of the world of Tongtian Buddhism also appeared around Zhenliang, and the strange movement of the great wilderness Tongtian Buddha had long been known. When Zhenliang came out of the Temple of Qishan, he directly brought all the emperors and many Dayan immortals. Brother Jinwu, the Temple of Qishan is very important, since I will not hesitate to cross many realms to come here. I have to give it to us. Emperor Dong Yen took the lead in speaking and didn't care about the leading Tongtian Buddha. I said, I know so much. If you don't dare, then don't go. Go back to the Tao of enlightenment as soon as possible. I also wish you an early ascent to the top of the universe. Shun Wuyang sneered, not dare to bear any danger, just dreaming of the great avenue of the universe. He spread the news of the Temple of Qishan to attract the strong from all sides, and then fish in troubled waters. At this time, these people wanted to ask him for an explanation, or just want him to take the lead. How can one be a reckless person who can become the ruler of a big power? If he had been beheaded so early, there is the secret of becoming the Lord of the universe in the Temple of Qishan. But how can it be safe? The 18 gods alone are comparable to a big power. Shun Wuyang, don't know what's good or bad. Am willing to come because I have trusted you. Now you don't want to share the information of the Temple of Fortune. Don't blame me for waiting. Jean Jiadigen threatened, I heard you, the big CU has expanded to the extreme. I wonder if it has caught up with my Donglin realm. As soon as the Golden Armor Emperor's voice fell, A terrifying aura broke out instantly, and a golden flood dragon sprang out from the palm of his hand, and the dragon surged extremely fast. The emperor's might can break through the void in the great wilderness at will. As soon as this terrifying flood dragon appeared, he saw the void as nothing and rushed directly to the Desai domain. Although Desiyu has expanded to the extreme, because this great wasteland is not big, because the origin has been disintegrated in the Wangu era, it is difficult to expand the territory. Even if Zhenwuyang is powerful, it will at most open up this great wasteland. If Xiang Desiyu goes further, he can only improve his avenue. The higher the Tao level, the stronger the world that can be mastered. Zhenwuyang has opened up the realm to the extreme over the years, which is equivalent to the Tao has also reached the extreme. If there was no such thing as a great wasteland, he would have elevated the Desiyu to the peak of the medium world. Now, the Emperor Jinjia uses a flood dragon to spy on his great Siyu. How could he agree, even if he can't spy anything but the power of the Emperor? Even if this flood dragon enters the big Siyu, it will destroy countless small realms and deplete him the origin of the big division domain. I don't care about the East Forest realm yet, and my Desiyu has no turn to give you advice. Zhenwuyang said coldly, Great division domain, heavenly court. Zhenwuyang's deity appeared, looking at the great wilderness, pointing to the void. Hum, hum. The dull air explosion sounded to the depths of the great wilderness, and the flood dragon ran aground on the edge of the great wilderness before it reached the border of the Desai region. The golden flood dragon that was originally alive was like a portrait in the void, hanging motionless in the void. Jinjia de Num snorted, trying to withdraw his magical powers, but he couldn't recall the golden dragon. Void tore the void with his claws and hands, and reached out to grab the dragon, but couldn't catch it. The dragon is like being carved in the void, moving slowly with the breath, but not moving forward. Zhenwuyang slowly got up at this time, beckoning a golden dragon scissors to fly out of the void crack, and then the void crack closed. Donglin, don't you think that you will be so arrogant in front of me if you control a higher world and become a master? I have killed more emperors than you in the East Forest realm. Click! Zhenwuyang directly smashed the Jiaolong. The dignified treasure is like gravel in Zhenwuyang's hands, scattered in the void at will. You, Emperor Donglin, opened his eyes full of anger, but Zhenwuyang's strength is indeed very strong. If he is in his own dojo, he will naturally not be afraid. But now this is a great wilderness. Although this is not Zhenwuyang's dojo, he really wants to fight. Now, he has nothing to do with Zhenwuyang. Moreover, there are several emperors of the East Forest world behind him, whose strength is only the second-order emperor. Once they fight against Zhenwuyang, they will be killed by Zhenwuyang's strength at will, and they will lose a lot by then. Their main purpose is the Temple of Qishan, Ukanshu. There is no need for Calm to go head-to-head with Zhenwuyang. Donglin, this is the great wilderness. Although there are Taoist ancestors in this place now, this is after all the area jointly managed by my Tongtian Buddhist realm and Desiyu. You have to go crazy otherwise. He nodded meaningfully towards Zhenwuyang. Tongtian Buddha thought that the matter was not big enough, so he stood in line with Zhenwuyang directly. What he meant was that if you really Wuyang do something, I will follow it. We are on the same boat. But how would Zhenwuyang know the character of this adjacent Tongtian Buddha? He stood in line at this time, and even said that Da Huang was jointly managed by the two realms, and the implication was still the temple of the gods. Zhenwuyang was a bit big for a while, and these emperors could survive to this day and become powerful beings in the universe. Naturally, they would not go straight to the Temple of Qishan with a simple message. This was a problem he had overlooked. Everyone, I was negligent. However, I don't know much about the specific information in the Temple of Qishan. Now, the Temple of Qixin is there. If you are willing to explore together, then go together. If you look forward to the future generations, you want to rely on more people. Fish in troubled waters, then you can go back now. Zhen Wuyang knows that he will not take these people to the Temple of Qixin at this time. When more emperors come, he will look for him. It is better to take these emperors to try their luck now. Tongtian Buddha put his hands together and smiled slightly. Goodness! Many emperors scattered, and when they reappeared, it was the ancient road where Jian Wushuang desperately wanted to escape. The towering temple is hundreds of thousands of miles high, and the bronze temple contains powerful secret texts that are looming, and its own power always suppresses the void. Huh! 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 Dozens of figures appeared outside the Qixin temple. It was Zhen Wuyang and the others. Chapter 5143. Dao Gong, Lu Crou, Feng Hua. Zhen Wuyang appeared ordinary among the emperors, but he spoke with unusual domineering. The junior came here to visit a few seniors specially, said it was to meet, but with a large group of emperors, the water around the Temple of Qixin could not be drained. Dong Yen, your God-Yen formation can be arranged. Zhen Wuyang turned his head and said with a smile. Just now he said that he was coming to see him, and he turned his head and let Dong Yen set up the formation. Zhen Wuyang's shamelessness made the emperor who met him for the first time to be ashamed. It is worthy of being able to destroy the glorious existence of the entire De Siwang ancient era. In the past, everyone who killed himself was cruel, but now that he is cooperating with this person, Emperor Donglin sighed in his heart, not knowing whether it was good or bad. The Yenshin Great Formation was created by Emperor Dongyan himself. It is very famous in the surrounding domains. Once the Great Formation is formed, the void blockade cannot be teleported even by the emperor. The formation. Emperor Dong Yen waved and raised the formation flag, and a formation that was comparable to a small world fell from the sky, and 1/3 of the void in the entire great wilderness was suppressed by the formation. After the formation was set up, Zhen Wuyang's scruples dissipated. At least the old guys in ancient times could not escape. In addition to the Yenshin formation to guard, the Tongtian Buddha also took out the most precious 1,000 treasure robes. As the name suggests, the Qianbao cassock is composed of thousands of treasures. The golden cassock turns into a river and surrounds the entire temple of the gods. All the emperors in the temple of the gods from the outside can see clearly, and they are not idle, and immediately activate the power of the temple of the gods. Boom! The Yenshin array buzzed in the void, and every component of the huge array was accelerating and spinning. Although the power of the Qixin temple was strong, the emperors could not be fully utilized, and relying on the Qixin temple, it was only slightly able to counter many emperor. Lu Crou, get ready to do it! Dao Gong shouted angrily. His figure appeared outside the gate of Qixin temple, and the ancient majestic aura rose into the sky. The secret text on the outside of the Qixin temple lit up instantly. Daogong's eyes were dazzling, and he rushed towards Dong Yen in the Yenshin array. An army of corpses from the outside surrounds the temple of Qixin, blocking it at the outermost periphery. But when a divine power swept over, those unconscious corpses turned into powder and floated along the ancient road to the temple of Qixin. The 2 ninth-turn consummate Dayan immortals waiting outside the hall suddenly opened their eyes. They waited for this moment for too long. This is the Lord Six Crow calling them. Arrangement. Lu Crow's eyes turned, and his left hand lightly pressed, the arm suddenly exploded, and this force affected hundreds of millions of Dayan immortals. Welcome, my lord. 36 nine-turned perfect Dayan immortals appeared behind Lu Crou instantly. These 9th turned perfect Dayan immortals regarded the corpses of hundreds of millions of Dayan immortals as flesh bodies. Infinite Dayan immortals finally turned into these 36 great Yangtzeans. Yangtzeans flesh and blood. They are now accurately beyond the scope of Dayan immortal. Each of them has the power of the emperor, but the avenue in the body has withered when the flesh is condensed. And now they are all like the living dead. Get up! Lu Crow shouted again. The big formation gradually rose, and a towering figure with the size of the Qixin temple appeared outside the Qixin temple. This is the necromantic formation based on the 6 crows. The formation method was obtained by Lu Crow from the Qixin temple. In the ancient times, he pursued the Qixin Tao with all his heart and never practiced. It was not until the rise of Zhen Wuyang that he began to practice. In order to achieve the perfection of this great formation, he did not hesitate to develop it by hundreds of millions. Xian accompanies him to die together. Now, the recovery has to be turned into a part of his body to fight for him. Dao Gong, kill Dong Yen quickly and break the big formation, and the others will suppress the Tongtian Buddha together, and leave the rest to me. Lu Crow dominates the entire undead formation, and the human form that the big formation transforms into is also his own. Face. Boom. Dao Gong is not the one who cultivated the Qixin Tao to the 8th level. Although the void was blocked, his speed was much faster than Emperor Dong Yen, but he reached the eye of Dong Yen in an instant. The blockade of the big formation is two-way, and Dong Yen himself can't use teleport, only relying on the big formation at the front of the formation and Dao Gong. I heard that you are the leader of the great Siyuang era. Today, I will meet you well. Although Dong Yen has not reached Tier 4, there is a defensive array blessing at the front of the eye. The old guy who entered the ranks, he is still more confident. The old man happened to be here to meet you guys from other worlds to see if your Tao is stronger or my Tao is better. As soon as Daegong's voice fell, he started directly. The leader of the Wangu era was a 3rd-order emperor as early as the Wangu era, and now he has become a 4th-order emperor and has been bestowed by Qixin, and his strength has reached the level of Zhenliang in the Wangu era. The Emperor Dong Yen at the moment, he really didn't take it seriously. A whisk appeared in his hand. With just a light wave, hundreds of millions of white feathers surrounded the entire seat, and then suddenly tightened. The pressure of the whisk was like the palm of a giant, and Emperor Dong Yen, who was held in the eye of the battle, did not panic at all. Okanshu, calm will firmly guard the large array of the front eye. Under the tremendous pressure, the operation of the eye suppressor sped up rapidly. No, it won't last long. Emperor Dong Yen was shocked and quickly transmitted his voice to the Tongtian Buddha. Dao Gong has Tier 4 strength. I can't resist it. Let Feng Mo save me quickly. Tongtian Buddha. Zhen Wuyang, Donglin God Emperor, plus Feng Mo, 4 4th-order emperors. The 16 gods of the temple will use the Qixin temple to suppress the Tongtian Buddha, saying that the suppression is actually staring at him. It is best for neither of them to shoot, and just wait for the others to decide the victory or defeat. The strongest Lu Crow in Qixin temple, he alone resisted the 3 4th-order emperors. After all, Da Huang is the dojo of 6 crows. Although Feng Demon is strong, it is only a newly promoted 4th-order emperor. Without Dao Gongchang, Wuyang is really strong enough to compete with him. As for the Donglin Divine Emperor, he was protecting the many ordinary monarchs in the rear. In battles of this level, those ordinary monarchs could not get involved at all. Instead, they became a burden and wasted the battle power of a Tier 4 monarch in vain. The power blessing in the dojo, coupled with the necromantic formation. At this time, Lu Crow has the top level of Tier 4. No matter how strong Zhen Wuyang is, it will not get any benefit from him. Zhen Wuyang, I originally thought that you would come to the great wilderness by yourself just like the Wangu era. I didn't expect you to bring so many helpers. It really disappointed me, Luya said while doing it. The huge shadow of the fist fell like a falling star, blasting madly at Feng Demon Emperor. On the other side, Zhan Wuyang. He was always rounding around, grabbing the weakest one. This is his dojo. He will only fight more and more. Strong. Mobilize the Dao Dao of the great wilderness. He is the Dao ancestor of this world. Even though it is only a middle world level, the power that can be given to him can still make the wind demon body. He fights shatter. Chapter 5144. Damn it! Zhan Wuyang yelled angrily. The current situation is not very friendly to them. Dong Yan's side is almost unable to hold it, and Feng Mo can't raise his head again. He can't perform real in a short time. Strength. This is the dojo of 6 crows, where he is fighting with 6 crows has been rejected by the Dahuang Heavenly Tao, and his strength has been suppressed by 30%. The Tongtian Buddha is at the top, but he is at ease, and the power of the 1,000 treasures robes is enough to rival the 16 generals of the temple. Among them, there are only a few of Tier 3. If it weren't for the temple of Qishan, Tongtian Buddha would be able to kill them instantly. Wuyang Dongyan is going to be dying. Quickly bring people to support. Tongtian Buddha sat firmly in the void, and at this time he was still leisurely and elegantly let a third-order emperor of Wuyang go to deal with the fourth-order Dao Gong emperor. The temptation of Qishan is too great. Only a few pieces of information from Zhan Wuyang can cause chaos in the primitive universe. They are only the first group of people. He has never thought of breaking the Qishan temple now. He has to wait and wait. Everyone gathered together, and then delved into the temple of Qi. From the initial stage of the primitive universe, I came to the temple of the gods of Desiyu. It is not that simple. Behind all this, there is probably someone in the layout. Although he guards the heavenly realm all year round, his information is very well informed. Those fifth-order emperors have left the primitive universe to go to the long river of time and space. There are even greater secrets in the primitive universe. The origin of the primitive universe began to dissipate since its birth. Knowing how many epochs of chaos, the origin is almost consumed. Inside the primitive universe is a taboo demon who suppressed the long river of time and space. If the source is exhausted, the forbidden demon master will be born, and then the primitive universe can only be forced to migrate. Forbidden demon masters are powerful beings bred in the long river of time and space. They will appear in every reincarnation era. The last time they appeared in their primitive universe, the forbidden creatures that swallowed the entire universe were suppressed by the supreme rules to the core of the primitive universe. This matter is known to very few people, and only those fifth-order emperors and a few fourth-order masters know about it. The person who created Buddhism left the original universe after the heaven was broken, leaving behind this reincarnation secret text. When he left, that existence deduced the future and used the eye of heaven to see the future of the primitive universe. The primitive universe in the future is a seamless starry sky. The entire universe is swallowed by taboo creatures. The emperor in the universe takes Dian to escape the long river of time and space, and the rest life is gone. Even if the future is foreseen, that existence will leave the original universe. For that existence, this universe will soon perish, and it is not worth his stay here. Taboo creatures in the long river of time and space are terrifying existences that make all the strong fearful. For the universe, without the master of the universe, it even represents destruction. Now that the Temple of Qishan is suddenly born, will it be a chance that the supreme rules will be lowered to let the primitive universe survive this catastrophe? Thinking of this, Tongtian Buddha glanced at the many emperors in the Qishan temple, and then looked at Dao Gong and Lu Crow. At last he shook his head when he saw it. Everyone in this group is like a savior. What Tongtian Buddha didn't know was that the Buddhism leader who foreseed the future was eventually killed by the supreme rule and then reincarnated. Fate was shackled, and the supreme rule left a vitality. In the end, the temple of Chishan wandered through countless reincarnations in the long river of time and space and came to the primitive universe. This great gift is a vitality given to the primitive universe by the supreme rules. If you grasp it, a cosmos lord will be born in this era, and if you can't help me, then prepare to flee. The gleam of vitality left by the supreme rule. Except for the Lord of the universe, no one can drive away the taboo demon lord. Then there is a high possibility that a universe lord will appear in this era, the Tongtian Buddha, who understood all of this squinted his eyes, and from his eyes, all the people present. Only Zhen Wuyang had a chance with him. No matter how they looked at it, they were not the existence of the great Tao of achievement. Everything has its own days. It must be impossible for the Chishan Temple to leave the original universe, so there is no need for him to guard it. But watching the tiger fight from the top, he was also happy and leisurely. It would be good if the little shrimps at the bottom died a little bit, and those who fished in troubled waters would be saved. The many emperors outside the Chishan Temple could only watch a few fourth-order emperors fighting under the protection of Donglin. He never expected that even the third-order emperors would not be able to get involved in the current battle. As for Tongtian Buddhas, saying that they were to rescue Emperor Dongyan, everyone thought they hadn't heard it. Who would be so stupid to fight with the fourth-order emperor now? Even if Dao Gong is the bottom of the fourth-order emperor, these third-order emperors are far from opponents. Lu Crow, as the Dao ancestor of the great wilderness, has been staring at him. Not only is the one-handed wind demon on the verge of collapse, but also has spare capacity to deal with Zhen Wuyang. If they dare to show their heads, they may be instantly killed by Lu Crow. In the distance, Emperor Dong Yen could not hold it anymore. The power of Fuqian seemed to be wireless, and it was rising steadily. At first he was very relaxed, but as he went to the back, the power of Fuqian increased, but his power was slightly reduced, compressed, changed, and he soon couldn't hold on. The defense formation at the front of the battlefield had begun to shatter, and he lost the protection of the battle formation. He couldn't hold on for a few breaths under Dao Gong. The Yenshin array has 9 eyes, and he hides in one of them, but Da Huang has Dao ancestors after all. Lu Crow directly found his position and asked Dao Gong to come and kill him. Just kill him and others. The eyes are naturally extinct. The current Emperor Dong Yen can't wait to break the Yenshin formation so that he can teleport and escape. He never expected that he would eventually be trapped by his own big formation, and he built a tomb for himself. Boom! The front eye defense was broken, and Emperor Dong Yan's real body appeared. As soon as he was about to open his mouth to beg for mercy, he was covered in dust all over his body. Those who peeped into the temple of Qi, Dai, Dao Gong yelled angrily. The power of the whisk soared again, and Emperor Dong Yan, who had no defensive formation, was crushed instantly like thin paper. This is the power gap. Although Dong Yan had the top strength of Tier 3, he could not fight back against the monarch of Tier 4, even the bottom Dao Gong of Tier 4. Fighting higher levels will appear in the Dayan Immortal level, but will never appear in the Emperor. In Dayan Immortal, there may still be battles because of the existence of some external treasures. However, after becoming an emperor, strength depends on the perception of Tao. Being able to fight beyond the ranks in the emperor, at least in the primitive universe, hasn't heard anyone do it. perhaps the former ancestor of the ancient gods could do it, but when the old guy became the emperor, he was a fourth-order emperor. There was no fifth-order emperor in the primitive universe at that time. Chapter 5145. With the unwilling roar, Emperor Dongyin completely fell. This being who could rank among the top 3 in the 3,000 great worlds just fell. Emperor Dong Yen followed the path of evolution. He was not good at fighting at all, and he did not have a clone yet. This fall is a true fall. In the world of Tongtian Buddhism, Dong Yen still had too little knowledge of the fourth-order emperor because he belonged to the same world. Although the primitive universe is big, there are still a few third-order emperors, and now one has fallen in less than a cup of tea. The birth of the Temple of Qishan is the beginning of a great era, and this era will be the node of the entire primitive universe. Good. Tongtian Buddha put his hands together, lowered his eyebrows, and meditated silently to save the dead soul Dongyin. Dao, Gong, go to crack the big formation quickly. Lu Yaqiang was throbbing in his heart. As soon as the great formation opened, he was about to slaughter. Accumulating hundreds of millions of years of anger, he wanted to turn the great wilderness into a Shura field and behead all those who peeped at the temple of discrimination. The magnificent road descended from the sky, and the fall of an emperor made his necromantic array stronger. If it is to kill a fourth-order emperor, his power can be increased. Luya shook his left hand towards the void, and a death aura instantly invaded the entire void. The wind demon, who had been suppressed and beaten, seemed to be afraid of being beaten, and before Dao Gong went to break the formation, he himself immediately broke the Yenshin Great Formation. He wants to escape. Zhen Weiyang's trash can't stop the 6 crows. Tongtian Buddha is not doing anything above the void, and Donglin is going to protect the group of trash from doing anything. He now starts to suspect that these guys are working together to calculate him. Wind Demon, don't! Zhen Weiyang shouted angrily. Once the Great Formation is broken, they will die faster, and the void will be unblocked. Not only can they teleport, but the 6 crows themselves can also teleport. What an idiot! Zhen Weiyang cursed in a low voice. The situation is gone. It doesn't matter if he arrives alone. Other people are miserable. The world of Tongtian Buddhism has all come out. Now Dong Yen has fallen. I am afraid that more will fall in the future. Donglin God Emperor's eyelids throbbed, and if he didn't do anything at this time, the men he brought this time would probably die in the great wasteland. At this time he had to do it. Lu Crow, your opponent is me. God Emperor Donglin flickered, and 6 purple diamond-shaped crystals appeared behind him. Wow! The huge white stone throne appeared at the feet of the Emperor Donglin. Donglin held the throne firmly, and the purple diamond crystal flew into the god's seat instantly behind him. This was obtained from a relic in the long river of time and space, and it was the amethyst throne left by ancient civilization. Boom! 6 purple rays of light shot out from above the throne, and the speed was so fast that the 6 crows had no chance to resist, and the purple rays of light directly passed through the large array of undead spirits controlled by the 6 crows. The light was invincible, and 6 holes exuding death aura appeared on the large array of undead spirits controlled by the 6 crows. The flesh body condensed by the endless great evolving immortal was instantly pierced by the purple light, which made Lu Crow stunned for a moment, but he with endless evolving power was nothing at all. The hole was instantly patched up, and his body was 1 step faster. Before Wind Demon could teleport, he squeezed Wind Demon's body. Wind Demon, where are you going? Lu Crow sneered, and then suddenly used force. Call! The Wind Demon, held by him, turned into a black smoke, and then disappeared. Lu Crow was shocked. This great wasteland was his dojo. This Wind Demon was able to transform his body under his nose, and what he was holding was actually an energy clone. After discovering that he had been tricked, Lu Crow roared, and the towering figure disappeared in an instant. The moment he was stunned, he had lost the time to chase and kill the wind demon, and now he had to deal with the weak emperors. Flee separately. Donglin roared angrily. He has the most subordinates. Most of the Buddhist monarchs in the world of Tongtian Buddhism have clones, and they lose at most one flesh and some treasures when they die. Few of his subordinates have clones. If they die, they are really dead. Donglin Realm is a rare higher world, but its foundation is not as strong as other higher worlds. He is the only Fourth-Order Emperor in the East Forest Realm, and there are only a few Third-Order Emperors under his hand. This time the Qixin Temple was born, he did not want to bring too many emperors, but these emperors did not want to go further. He wanted can't stop it. After all, in front of the avenue, the strong must fight. Who would give up such a great opportunity? Who would give up because of danger? If they were afraid of death, they would not stand out from the billions of dying immortals. None of you can escape. Lu Crow figure appeared behind many emperors, and there was also a death sickle in his hand. Teleportation also requires an instant world. It is this extremely short time that Lu Crow waved his sickle in his hand, and several emperors fell instantly. Some emperors who responded quickly only left half of their bodies, but the other half of their bodies appeared in another place in the great wilderness. The sickle that exudes silence. Everything that is contaminated will be swallowed up by life. The emperor, who also had a different body, fell in wailing and unwillingness. Many of the remaining emperors had already teleported for most of the time, but the emperors of the heavenly Buddha realm did not choose to escape, and their figures were hidden in the 1,000 treasures robes. Boundless Buddha turned his head and glanced at the temple of Qi for the last time, disappeared into the Qianbao robes. He has fought with Tongtian Buddha for countless years, and now he understands that if Tongtian were to kill him, he would have died long ago. Donglin Divine Emperor's eyes were red, and his disciples and clansmen among the fallen emperors were all dead at this time. Dao Gong, who had already gotten away, stopped in front of him, and he couldn't save it if he wanted to. It's better not to think about it. It's good for you and me. Dao Gong sneered and sneered. The battle ended with a complete victory. The Tongtian Buddha, above the void, also slowly lowered his figure and came to the crowd. Everyone, talk about it. Tongtian Buddha put away the Qianbao robes surrounding the Qixin Temple and smiled faintly. Talk. Dao Gong also squinted the corners of his eyes. Talk. Tongtian Buddha's voice was firm. Zhen Wuyang stood on the outermost periphery. Talk. If there is talk, these old things will not die. Even if they figured out and wanted to talk, they wouldn't talk to him. The enmity is too deep, and they have no more to talk about. Tell me about your conditions. Dao Gong said casually. At this time, he turned the offensive, and the right to speak was in his hands. Although Lu Crow is the strongest combat power and the Taoist ancestor of this world, the emperors in the Qixin Temple have already pushed out Dao Gong and let Dao Gong represent them. Now I can only stand aside and let Dao Gong negotiate. Tongtian Buddha glanced at Zhen Wuyang in the distance and then at Donglin. Resolve him first. Yao Yao pointed at Tongtian Buddha with a smile on his face. Donglin God Emperor looked shocked and then angrily said, Tongtian, you are crazy. You have to join forces with them to deal with me. Zhen Wuyang was also taken aback in the distance, and he secretly asked what the Tongtian was doing. Chapter 5146. The finger of the Tongtian Buddha made the Donglin Divine Emperor tremble. Now the remaining Tier 4 monarchs on the scene are 3-on-2, and even if they are lost, they can still retreat. Those monarchs will die if they die, and there is still no major problem with protecting their lives. Now that the Master Tongtian came out, his part-time job was killing him. Tongtian, you are crazy. Cooperate with them. The Emperor Donglin was also a little panicked. He is the master of the higher world. Although there is a clone, what is here in the great wilderness is his strongest main battle clone, and the treasures he carries are of great value. If this clone falls here, plus the Lost Emperor, then it will be difficult for the East Forest realm to gain a foothold in the surrounding area. Donglin, you killed Dong Yen by protecting the reputation of those emperors, and I have to avenge such a grievance. Tong Tian Buddha rarely revealed a vicious face. Dong Yen is the emperor of my 3,000 great worlds, and even the Tao ancestor of Dong Yen realm. Now he followed me to the great wilderness to seek opportunities, but was killed by you. How do you tell me to go back? The fierce light gradually rises in the eyes of the Tong Tian Buddha. Luya looked at all this and thought about countermeasures. He couldn't guarantee that some of Tongshan's words were true. Dong Yan's death was indeed related to Dong Lin, but Tong Tian did not rescue him at the critical moment. In his opinion, this Tong Tian Buddha is just a smiling tiger. This is to use their power to weaken the combat power on the scene. If they lose, I am afraid it is them who are under siege now. Why? Don't you plan to do it? Tong Tian hesitated. At this time they were fighting in their nests. Lu Crow and Dao Gong couldn't help him. After all, they were all here for the Temple of Qishan. If they were to kill a Tier 4 emperor at this time, they might be able to shock many Xiao Xiao. After all, there is only one fifth-order emperor in the original universe, and the ancient gods are very far away from the great wilderness. Even if the treasure is used to move it again and again, it will take a long time. Most of the emperors and Dayan immortals around who can rush to this place now. First, deal with these people. Let the necromancers swallow the death aura and reach the perfect state. By then, with the power of the Qishan Temple and the blessing of the great desolate heaven, even if the fifth-order emperor comes, they will be able to deal with it. Dao Gong first glanced at Shen Wuyang in the distance, and then nodded towards Liu Ya. Do it! Boom! Dao Gong took the lead, and Fuqian instantly covered the sky and the sun, so that the Emperor Donglin had nowhere to escape. I'm going to stop Shen Wuyang, and you too will quickly kill the clone of Donglin. In the fourth-order emperor on the field, only Dao Gong is close to strength. The other emperors are of the fourth-order normal level, especially the Tong Tian Buddha, who inherited the origin of the higher world. Although the dojo is only the middle world, the origin of the higher world still allows him to Tao is extremely powerful. Tong Tian, you shameless villain. Donglin Divine Emperor couldn't escape. Facing the two top-ranking emperors of Lu Crow and Tong Tian Buddha, the divine body was quickly defeated, and the armor on his body was even more impressive. Torn by Lu Crow, Dao Gong in the distance suppressed Void, while blocking Shen Wuyang's path. Shen Wuyang, don't worry, it will be your turn later. Dao Gong sneered when Tong Tian Buddha talked to them. He secretly informed them that as long as they jointly killed Donglin, he would help them deal with Shen Wuyang. This is why they cooperated with Tong Tian Buddha. Even if Tong Tian Buddha used some conspiracy and tricks, their combat power on the scene was not weaker than that of each other, and Donglin was not far from death in the current situation. As long as they kill Donglin, even if Tong Tian repents, they can use the Temple of Qishan to contain Tong Tian, and Lu Crow and him can besiege Shen Wuyang, first slaying the feared clone of Shen Wuyang to avenge the enemies of the year. Dao Gong, you are as stupid as before. Shen Wuyang let out an evil smile. In the distant void, the Emperor Donglin was unbearable and directly detonated the clone of fear of divine power. The self-detonation of the fourth-order emperor is very terrifying. The endless white air waves roll. Even if the third-order emperor falls into it, he will be instantly strangled. As a Tier 4 emperor, Lu Crow relied on the great desolate way to reach the top threshold of Tier 4 in front of the necropolis, but didn't dare to resist and quickly retreated to the rear. Tong Tian, it's time to close the net. Zhen Weiyang's eyes were cold, and the breath in his body rose to the sky. The Lord of the Heavenly Buddha's 1,000 treasures robes protected his body. His body was unscathed. After hearing Zhen Weiyang's transmission, he sighed, "Goodness!" In the void, hundreds of thousands of miles away from the battlefield, the young novice monk and Jian Wushuang are talking with Dayan Immortal in the world of Tongtian Buddhism. Suddenly, a horrible breath came from the direction of the distant temple of God. Boom! The air wave rolled all the way, shattering all the void in the core area of the great wilderness, and countless terrifying space cracks could not be healed for a long time. Is this the Emperor's method? Jian Wushuang was shocked. From hundreds of thousands of miles away, he could be injured by that breath. Fortunately, the weakest people present were 9-rank Dayan Immortal. As for Jian Wushuang and Little Novice, both were the ultimate ways. They were no weaker than 9-rank Dayan Immortal, and they could withstand this aura fluctuation. This is too horrible. A 9th-rank Dayan Immortal in the East Yen world couldn't help exclaiming. Originally, they gave the Emperor the guidance to come to the depths of the great wilderness to find the opportunity to become an emperor. When Yu read www.okanshu.com, they were very excited and looked forward to the opportunity of the Temple of Qishan. Now that they feel that breath fluctuates, they all have a bad premonition. Sure enough, the opportunity for Dayan Xian to be promoted to emperor is not that simple. Why? Brother Juyu is scared. The speaker was the first emperor from the East Yen realm, who had the strength of the 9th rank of the great Yen Immortal, and was also one of the most powerful Day Yen Immortals in this group of great Yen Immortals. In addition to a few emperors in the Eastern Yen realm, his status is the highest, and he is the most promising talent in the Dongyan realm for hundreds of millions of years to become an emperor. His avenue is still the 3rd-rank avenue. As long as the combination is successful, he will have the strength of the 2nd-order emperor. Nowadays, there are still many worlds in the 3,000 great worlds that are no masters. He is a local practitioner. After becoming an emperor, he can naturally control a big world. Then he will have his own dojo. With his understanding of heaven, he can quickly become a 3rd-order emperor, become the pinnacle powerhouse in the universe. If you are afraid, you won't be here. Jiu whispered with cold eyes. His foreign trade is somewhat similar to that of the Beijing Sengshu Jian Wushuang has seen, but his strength is very different. When he first met this group of people, the little novice secretly gave him a voice transmission. And don't provoke the first 9 universe in the world of Tongtian Buddhism. Hundreds of millions of years have passed since this chief Buddhist disciple on the Tongtian mountain has achieved the 9th revolution consummation. Legend has it that he has realized the 9 great avenues, and the strength of each one has risen to the 9th revolution consummation level. It is said that he has cultivated a certain special secret method. Once the secret method is completed, he can go to the Tao. As long as the Tao is successful, his Tao can be comparable to the ultimate Tao. Chapter 5147. Tick. The crisp sound of raindrops gradually sounded. The raindrops gradually became denser, changing from drizzle to torrential rain. For a while, there was heavy rain in the entire great wilderness, which made some monarchs or Dayan Immortals in the periphery feel strange. Isn't this a great wasteland? How can it rain? A woman in gray said in surprise. Jian Wushuang and others raised their heads to look at the void. The rain turned out to be golden. Many people exclaimed. Could it be that Jian Wushuang followed a drop of rain with his hands and moved his eyes slightly? He actually saw a straight broken road from the rain. Yanli mobilized the rain around him, and a huge raindrop gathered. In an instant, Jian Wushuang watched carefully, and there was still a broken road in the rain. When other people saw Jian Wushuang doing this, they all looked at Brother Wushuang, but what did they find? The woman in gray asked curiously, This is the emperor. Juyu is an ancient fairy who has lived countless times in the Chaos era. He received a cloud of rain and pinched a magic seal with both hands. The broken avenue in the rain was actually stripped out by him, and the others were surprised to see it. Master Juyu is right. This is the emperor's fall, and only the fall of the emperor will make a world of golden rain fall. Jian Wushuang said with emotion, he once saw such a record in an ancient secret text. In the endless years of Desiyu, the last time the emperor fell was when Zhen Wuyang killed dozens of emperors in the Wangu era, causing golden rain to rain in the Desiyu. However, the rain recorded at that time was not as great as this time. This shows that the number of emperors who have fallen in the great wilderness this time exceeds the number that Zhen Wuyang killed in Wangu, or that a certain top emperor has fallen, comparable to dozens of emperors. Brother Wushuang is indeed very knowledgeable. This is indeed the emperor. I was fortunate to have seen it in the Wangu era of your Desiyu. Juyu was a little bit sorrowful. The scene of the last time he saw the emperor is still vivid. At that time, he was the Dayan Immortal with the 9th rank consummation, and now it is Dayan Immortal bye-bye. However, he also became more affirmed of his own way. Weak strength will only be beheaded and turned into rain. Only strong strength can eternal immortality. He didn't pay much attention to the emperors of the 5th rank and 4th rank avenues, and he didn't even care about the 3rd rank avenue. He became famous early, and many of his contemporaries, Jinghong Tianjiao, became emperors, but they were all ordinary emperors, and they were not considered to be strong among the gods. He was the strongest of the same rank in the world of Tongtian Buddhism, since he was weak, and it was not until Dayan Xian met the heavenly Ji Daojun of Dongyan realm that he understood the gap of the Great Avenue. At that time, he was the 9th Renaissance Yenxian on the 3rd stage Dao, and he met the 3rd level de Yenxian Tianji Dao of the Ultimate Road. One of them is the shocking Tianjiao of the Tongtian Buddha realm, and the other is the strongest emperor of the Dongyan realm. Even the emperor came to watch the battle between the two, and the heavenly Ji Daojun of the 3rd rank Dayan Immortal faced Juyu of the 9 rank Dayan Immortal. The two of them ended in a tie at that station. 3 turns to 9 turns, and finally a tie. This result made the arrogant Juyu unacceptable, and waited until his 9th turn to complete the challenge to the heavenly mystery Daojun again. In that battle, he completed his 9th turn and heavenly Ji Daojun's 9th turn. There was no tie this time, and he was completely defeated. Tianji Daojun just used one move to defeat him. From then on, he began to deposit, and for many years he has been comprehending a secret method of ancient civilization on Tongtian Mountain. 10,000 ways are one. Jiuyu whispered secretly, the ultimate way can't be realized by comprehension alone. According to the words of the Buddha Master Tongtian, he has no life. After that, the Buddha of Tongtian couldn't bear to see him fall forever, so he bestowed the secret law of unity of 10,000 ways to him. After embarking on the road of unity of 10,000 ways, he realized the feeling of strength that surpassed the strength of the same rank by countless times. He can feel that this way is not worse than the ultimate way, but it is more difficult to succeed than the ultimate way. So far, no one in the primitive universe can become the emperor of the unity of 10,000 ways. Maybe this secret method is only available to a few people. Maybe this way is impossible to succeed at all. But even if no one succeeded, he would go all the way. Even if he couldn't become an emperor, he didn't want to be an ordinary emperor. It turns out that the emperor will also fall. The gray-clothed woman looked at the golden rain in the sky with surprise in her eyes. She is just an ordinary rank 9 Dayan Immortal, and the way she walks is only the 4th rank avenue, not even Daozi. At most, she is an elite in their big world. In his opinion, as long as it is an emperor, it is the supreme being, and now it seems that she is short-sighted. Everyone had a lot of insights when looking at the golden rain, especially the broken avenue, which was of great help to their practice. This time they were not in vain. Beyond the edge of the wilderness, the group of people in the big dream world stopped. Taozu, what is this golden rain? Is it unique in the great wilderness? A big dream girl bathed in the rain and asked in surprise. Except for a few emperors who knew the truth, the other Dayan immortals didn't know what was going on. After all, it was too difficult for the emperor to fall. Some emperors had never seen the scene of the emperor's fall in their lives until they were beheaded. This is the emperor. Dameng Daozu looked into the depths of the great wilderness, and he could feel that a terrifying battle had taken place there. Even he might have fallen in that battle. Outside the great wilderness at this time, many forces have gathered, but when they saw the emperor's fall, they all stopped. Even the Fourth Order Emperor did not dare to act rashly. Slowly, all forces began to gather and form a temporary alliance. The alliance was formed for two purposes only. One is the Temple of Fortune, which is also the goal of many people here, and the other is to contend against the ancient gods and several other pinnacle forces. The primitive universe, the 5 pinnacle forces, all have Fifth Order emperors. Although the deity of the Fifth Order Emperor has gone to the long river of time and space, but with the Fifth Order Emperor's clone, he still has the combat power of the Fifth Order threshold, and these kinds of strength are simply not what they can contend. And now those Fifth Order Emperors who are going to the long river of time and space are all rushing back. If they don't hug each other, they won't take any advantage in the Temple of Chishan. The role of the temporary alliance is to hold a group to keep warm, so as to compete with those Fifth Order emperors and then share a piece of the pie. In 3 days, most of the forces in the eastern region, where the Great Division region is located, arrived, and the people from the Ion Tower, the strongest force in the eastern region, finally arrived. The Ion is the pinnacle power in the primitive universe. This power is formed by several higher worlds. Today, the power of the Ion is the personal disciple of the Fifth Order Emperor Zhu Tian the Great. The Fourth Order Emperor has several digits, and the Fifth Order Emperor can't come out. He is one of the most powerful people in the entire primitive universe. Chapter 5148. Emperor Zhu Tian has already become a Fifth Order Emperor, and he has walked out of the primitive universe and traveled to the long time and space of Hanoi. Now that the Temple of the Gods is born, the power of the Ion has notified the Master as soon as possible, but even the Fifth Order Emperor wants to go from time to time. It will take millions of years to drive back to the original universe in the Long River. Only let them go to the Temple of Fortune to explore the way first. The Wind and Rain Demon Lord. In the base camp of the Provisional Alliance, an old man with a terrifying aura flashed, and he went outside the Ion Tower. The origin of the name of the pinnacle force Ion is the towering tower in front of the old man. This is the eternal treasure obtained by the Fifth Order Emperor Zhu Tian from time and space long Hanoi, and it is also refined by the legendary Master of the Universe. This kind of treasure will be jealous even if it is a Fifth Order Emperor, because it is made by the legendary Master of the Universe and contains the cosmic avenue inside, which can understand one's own avenue and suppress all things. The tower is divided into 9 floors, and the Fourth Order Emperor's wind and rain dominates and can only display the strength of the 8th floor, and only the Emperor Zhu Tian can fully use the power of the Ion. Qi Shui, are you going to be an enemy of our Ion Tower? In the 8th floor of the Ion Tower, the wind and rain ruler in the blue robe shouted angrily. She is a rare female emperor among the Fourth Order emperors. Her delicate face often changes, and the weak emperor can't even see her real face. No way. A group of little guys look at the old man, and they have to pull me to be fair for them. The old guy, I can only stand up. Qi Shui traveler smiled lightly. A lone traveler in the eastern region, his hometown world has long been shattered, and he has mastered a secret realm. Although he has not mastered the realm, his strength is a genuine Tier 4 top emperor. Oh, if that's the case, it's going to be my enemy. Feng Yu Demon Lord's face gradually became cold. The reason why she was called the Demon Lord was also created by ruthless means. Back then, the emperors of the eastern region sprung up like bamboo shoots after a rain and began to look for higher territories to take the opportunity to control. An emperor who achieved the second-tier road directly controlled a higher world within the Ion Tower's sphere of influence and also killed the guards of the Ion Tower over there. In that era, the Fifth-Order emperors stepped into the long river of time and space. The peak power was no longer guarded by the Fifth-Order emperor. Many powerful masters or emperors began to leave the Ion. At that time, the Wind and Rain Demon was only a master of the higher world, and his strength was the Fourth Order is also commonplace, and the many strong inside the Ion are very dissatisfied. Since she was a direct disciple of Emperor Zhu, although some people did not dare to make trouble on the surface, no one would follow her secretly. The peak strength did not have the Fifth Order Emperor personally suppressed, and it was on the verge of defeat in an instant. Internal pressure and external intrusions urgently needed the certification of her strength. It also happened that the Tier 3 top emperor appeared, giving her an object of power. The Third Order Emperor first killed the Second Order Emperor, who guarded the higher world, and then he began to control the higher world. Although there were many emperors in that era, there were still few emperors who were able to succeed in the second-class combination. Therefore, many of the higher worlds were without owners. As the pinnacle power, the Ion naturally took a fancy to the potential of the higher world, take control of the surrounding high-level worlds in his own hands, and in the future have the control of the emperor within his own power. The Third Order Emperor is also extremely arrogant. After taking control of the higher world, he directly stepped into the Fourth Order Emperor and became the Master. He believed that it was not bad for the Wind and Rain Demon and began to provoke the Ion. In his own dojo, the Fourth Order Emperor who dominated the high world was already the ceiling at that time, and even in the Ion, there were only 3 masters. But Wind and Rain Demon Lord alone manipulated the Ion Tower to enter the higher world. No one knew what happened inside, but when Wind and Rain Demon Lord came out, the interior of the higher world was in ruins. So don't destroy a higher world. Since that time, no one in the Ion Tower dared to make a second, and the Wind and Rain ruler has also become the Wind and Rain Demon. In the era of chaos in the eastern region, the emperor who died in her hands was no less than double digits. On the other hand, Qishui Walker is a lone ranger from the Eastern Territory turmoil era to the present. There is nothing to come up with. Although his strength has reached the top of Tier 4, his prestige and fame are not great, but he is famous for sneak attacks. He has nothing to do with him. Concerned, there are hundreds of special lives in the secret realm that he controls, not even a family member, so he has always been aimless and happy. He has many enemies, but most of them will not seek revenge on him. After all, Barefoot is not afraid of wearing shoes. Even if some superpower suffers a dark loss in his hands, he can only swallow this breath. However, this time Qishui became the leader of the Temporary Alliance and directly provokes the peak strength, which still surprised the Wind and Rain Demon Lord. Qishui Walker was barefoot, wearing a tattered robe, like an old beggar, but no one dared to look down on his strength. Wind and Rain don't speak so absolutely. The birth of the Temple of Qishan is a gift of the supreme rule. No one can enjoy it exclusively. Even the Fifth Order Emperor can't. Qishui Traveler changed his normal, and his face was serious. In the Ion Tower, the Lord of Wind and Rain stood in front of the tower window, looking at the proud and empty Scarlet Water Walker, frowning. Qishui, this old immortal thing. A third-order emperor's teeth tickled. They are among the pinnacle forces, the closest to here. They have the most hope for this opportunity of the temple of the gods. At this time, a temporary alliance has suddenly appeared, gathering half of the superpowers in the eastern region, even if they are the pinnacle forces. But before the Fifth Order Emperor returned, they couldn't take advantage of the temporary alliance. In the turbulent times, this old guy was lobbying around alone, causing a lot of wars. And now there are people who believe him. Humph! You think those people are fools. They are just using each other. The temporary alliance gathered half of the powerhouses in the eastern region, and all of them were human spirits. There were more than 10 Fourth-Order emperors alone. With so many powerhouses, they elected Qi Shui as the leader, obviously because they were afraid that the Fifth-Order emperors would return in the future. Implicated in yourself. Qi Shui is different. He is a lone traveler. It's a big deal to wait for the return of the Fifth-Order emperor. He just lifts his pants and runs away. His Lone Ranger doesn't need any territory, and he can mix in that universe. Forget it. At the moment, it is still dominated by the Temple of Qishan. If we drag on the other powerhouses, they will come together, but it will be even more unfavorable for us. The Wind and Rain ruler made up his mind, and his figure appeared outside the Ion in a flash. Everyone in the tower didn't dare to say anything. Fenyu, Demon Lord, was no longer the little girl who lived in the shadow of the Master before. Qi Shui, I don't want to go to war with you, so let those who are acquainted with you, let us explore together. Chapter 5149. Many powerhouses in the Provisional Alliance are also paying attention to this negotiation. If they are not hugged together, the Wind and Rain Demon Lord will care about them. Maybe the Ion will directly block the Great Wilderness so that they can't get in. After talking for a while, the two top-tier 4 experts returned to their respective camps. Brother Qi Shui, how about it? Did Wind and Rain Demon Lord agree? Many emperors asked one after another. After all, this time the chance was bigger than anything else. In the turbulent era, the battle is for territory, but now it is the opportunity to be promoted to the Lord of the Universe. If you really become the Lord of the Universe and control the primitive universe, let alone invincible in the primitive universe, it is the existence of legends in the long river of time and space. Everyone, Fenyu has agreed to explore the Temple of Qishan together. As for the chants, each has his own ability. Qi Shui, Xingzhe said with a smile. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they heard it, and they were also afraid that the Ion Tower would stand head-on. Fortunately, Brother Qi Shui waited for me. Otherwise, Wind and Rain Demon Lord wouldn't be able to let me explore the Temple of Qishan together. The goal of everyone was achieved, and Qi Shui Walker was also the superficial leader, and they complimented a few words. Everyone, set out now and enter the Great Wilderness. Qi Shui Walker waved his hand, and a huge palace rose from the ground and appeared behind him. This palace is an ordinary treasure palace, which is good for everyone to gather together. It's not that they don't have a more powerful palace, but that no one dared to enter other people's supreme palace rashly. In case the supreme might be mobilized to suppress them all, it would be a big joke. If they are separated and they appear to be scattered, Qi Shui Traveler knows them best and takes the initiative to take out an ordinary treasure palace. Even a Tier 1 emperor can easily break the palace defenses. This will bring everyone together and look like a force. However, this palace also has shortcomings. That is, it is not enough. The huge palace can only follow behind the Ion. After entering the Great Wilderness together, the many powerful men in the eastern region felt extremely desolate, even a little cold. After the baptism of the emperor, countless distracting thoughts breed in the void, and these distracting thoughts have formed many unconscious ghosts. The strength of these ghosts is not strong, and most of them are at the die and immortal level. How many emperors have to die before so many distracting thoughts will appear? Qi Shui, Walker manipulated the hall, standing at the highest point looking at the ghosts formed by distracting thoughts. He has survived from the turbulent times and has seen many big scenes. But this time the Temple of Qishan was just born, they just gathered. And before they went to explore, there was a terrifying battle inside, and it seemed that many emperors died. If all the emperors of the primitive universe came to this great wilderness, how many emperors would have to die? Brother Qi Shui just got the news that the emperor of the East Forest realm was annihilated, and even the main battle clone of the East Forest ruler has fallen. Oh, yes, the wind demon was killed by a mysterious man after severely wounding the Far Shield. Wind demon. Qi Shui, Walker thought of this person and replied, I remember this little guy just broke through Tier 4 and didn't have a clone. Yes, this fall really fell. His world collapsed because of its deep fusion with his Tao, and countless lives fell. In the fight for opportunity, everyone is thinking about the benefits, and no one has ever thought about the fate of failure. The world collapsed, and countless people fell. This is the loser. Although the chances of the Temple of Qishan are great, there are a few people who can succeed in the end. You will be successful. This sentence is the most accurate, no matter if it is applied to any strong person. The success of a strong person is bound to have many losers. These emperors, which one of them did not come out of the sea of blood in the Corpse Mountain, the truth is clearer than anyone else. But after tasting the benefits of being strong, they became more eager to be strong and became the Tao ancestor thinking of becoming a master. After becoming the ruler, they wooed people around to form forces. Holding a group to keep warm is just an external rhetoric. It is true that each one needs what he needs. Now that they have the opportunity to reach the sky in one step, how can they not try their best to break through? The strong on both sides scanned the great wilderness with mixed feelings in their hearts. After the emperor's baptism, Jian Wushuang encountered big troubles. Even though those distracting thoughts are only at the level of die and immortal, they can't hold back the large number. Among them, there are many more perfect die and immortals. Everyone protect Brother Wushuang and Hui Qing. I have told the Lord Buddha that there will be an emperor coming to rescue us. Juyu is the strongest among them, and the seniority is also the highest. Now he directly ordered everyone to set up a simple and large formation to resist those ghosts. Jia Jia. Countless distracting thoughts crawled out of the void. Their bodies were twisted and shaped like little ghosts, wandering in the void in illusory robes. Once they met a practitioner, they would surge up wildly. The lowest level of Dayan immortal present was rank 9, and there were over 1,000 people. Half of the 3,000 world's elites were here, and each of them was better than the veteran of Desiyu. If the great Siyu in the ancient times was enough to disregard all the medium worlds in the universe, as for now, except Shen Wuyang, everyone can be obtained. Brother Wushuang, you follow me? The gray-clothed woman beckoned. They only knew that Jian Wushuang was from Desiyu and saved little novice Hui Qing halfway. The emperors told them to take good care of these two people, especially to protect Hui Qing. However, Hui Qing was a rank 6 Dayan immortal, but was saved by Jian Wushuang, a rank 3 Dayan immortal. This made them a little puzzled, but it was not easy to ask them face to face. After all, they saved the 3,000 worlds. People. Jian Wushuang was a little funny in his heart. The woman in gray clothes in front of him was only a 4th rank, 9th rank Dayan immortal, and she took the initiative to protect him. But he couldn't shirk other people's kindness, and nodded and stood behind the gray-clothed woman. I will trouble Luo Shui Dao friends later. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, and then retreated behind Luo Shui. Luo Shui is an elite in the East Yen world, and in the sect, he is also a veteran, but he is not very old, and he has practiced for only 60 million years. For many ninth rank Dayan immortals, this is just a simple retreat. That's it. Jian Wushuang stood behind a woman. Even if the other Dayan immortals were polite, they still rolled their eyes at his actions. But he didn't care about all of this. As long as he had the opportunity, he would be ready to slip away and leave the great wasteland early. In today's great famine, he has a hunch that if he doesn't leave, he might not be able to leave. After taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang took a closer look at Fairy Luo Shui in front of him. Judging from the back, Fairy Luo Shui has a graceful figure, but this gray linen is too loose, and she won't be able to see it if she doesn't look carefully. With the white neck and some unwound hair, it can be seen that Luo Shui is definitely a rare beauty.